And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
All right, attention to roll call. Welcome everybody. Eric's out today. He's celebrating the Marines' birthday, Veterans Day, so he's going to be out this weekend. He's going to be out on Monday as well. So we got the great and powerful Sal Greco with us, and who joining us for the first half of this morning. We got Jimmy Wagner, president of the Donald J. Trump Kings County Republican Club. So we're going to do a little election recap before we go into, is it Zohran Mamdani anti-worker rights? Is he a socialist, or is he just another lying Democrat politician? And I think a lot of things we're going to talk about going to go around that. So Jimmy, let's start with you, brother. What's up this morning? You know, you put a lot of work into this election. Like, what are your thoughts? What are you seeing? What are you thinking?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to tell you something. Highly disappointed for the amount of work that was done and that we put in for Sliwa's campaign. Out in Southern Brooklyn, there was a team of people. We were doing 12, 14-hour days plus working our regular jobs. I'm highly disappointed at the last-minute flip of a lot of people out here in Southern Brooklyn. And I think a lot of people just lied straight up to my face and lied, family members included. Hey, I'm going to vote for Curtis. And then they all got scared and they went and voted for the legacy Democrat. And I'm going to give the Democratic machine here in New York City a round of applause and great credit. They scammed the working class once again. Better vote for the legacy Democrat, or we're going to get a farther left Democrat. That's what their message was. And people bought that hook, line, and sinker. And I'm going to applaud them. And, I made some posts on Twitter. People were going, how can you congratulate the DSA? How do I congratulate them? Maybe it's because I grew up in a generation where if you lost the game, you went to the middle of the field and you shook the opponent's hand. And you can appreciate an opponent that beat you. And I don't need to believe in their messaging. I don't need to believe in anything. They ran better campaigns and they won. That's it. Move on. Work harder. Get a better message out. And it's hard to beat the free message. It's a classic. It's been around since 1933 when Adolf Hitler was promising everyone a chicken in every pot. It's there. And they've just repackaged it. And they sold it. They literally sold the Nazi socialist message, repackaged it, and resold it to the people. And the working class bought it, and they sabotaged themselves once again.
Absolutely, Sal. What's up, brother?
Yeah, good to be here this morning. It's good to see Jimmy and Marlon and you, John. Look, I went off a little bit yesterday on the show. I gave my whole analysis and everything, but bottom line is the polls were wrong. No, there was no poll that showed the numbers that ended up. Everybody saw. Nobody predicted over 2 million people were going to vote. Nobody predicted that Mamdani would get 1 million plus votes, which only John Lindsay received in the history of the New York City mayoral election to begin with. And again, the message was, there's a few things that stick out with his messaging. Number one is, everything for free, everything this and that. But something no one has neglected, they're neglecting to say here, is when he was on the debate stage, they asked everybody where they were going. All these candidates, including Cuomo, was screaming about going to Israel. Some of them were screaming about going to other places in the world. And Mamdani was the only one saying, I'm staying right here. And I think that is a message that's resonating with the country, especially with the president, who's flying all over the world and neglecting basically what he ran on. So, again, it might be a referendum right now on what's going on at a larger scale with the country, in that Mamdani is like the left-wing version of President Trump, we'll say. He has the same kind of, it's the left-wing agenda, given to you kind of in a Trumpish kind of way. But for Republicans in general, Jimmy, I'd be worried going into next year. And it's not like I didn't predict this, because once Trump buddied up to Eric Adams, I said that this might completely collapse. You don't hook your wagons to a criminal. And since then, you've kind of seen how everything has went. The Epstein thing, is so many things that were already been questioned with the Trump and now the Republicans in general. Because Jimmy, where was the GOP with any of this? They didn't help anyone. They didn't help Athena Clark. They didn't help Elijah Diaz. They didn't help Curtis Lewa. They didn't help Mon Moran. They didn't help Christy Marmorato. They barely even said anything about Vicky Palladino and Joanne Ariola. And then their percentages, or Frank Morano, they win, but their percentages of how they won are not as big as they should have been. So, again, the GOP didn't even show up to vote anywhere. The percentage was low. New Jersey was bad. Chet Chiarelli got his ass kicked. It's a bad night for the GOP, but it's expected with what they're doing. The GOP itself, John says it best. They love to, vote for us. Then they get there, they don't do anything, they lose, and then they're back to crying for money again. So,
yeah, absolutely, dude. It was a joke. The GOP got what they deserved. Honestly, they got the effort they put in. They got the fight that they put in. Marlon, what's up, brother?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Good morning, chat. Morning, Jim. It's glad to have one of the few attorneys in the city that are willing to fight for us on vaccinated lepers on the show. And Jimmy's a freedom fighter, and we always appreciate that, the fight that Jimmy, is at the forefront of. I share your disappointment with the election, especially as I talked about earlier this week in Staten Island. I always thought Staten Island, at least we have Staten Island, it was my thinking, So if things get maybe continue to get worse, maybe you can hold out in Staten Island until the city is completely all blue. But now we're seeing, that's no longer the case. I'm also disappointed in the Republican establishment and again, Trump. There's a lot of ways you can interpret his support for Cuomo at the last minute and the impact of that on the election. But I think overall, I'm just disappointed that he even got involved because, just getting involved brings up a lot of issues,
Listen, I'm gonna say something, and I probably take heat for this. Like, I worked hand in hand with Athena Clark. I did a lot of volunteer work for Elijah Diaz. I did a lot of work with Janine, Luis, Cuero. For everyone who doesn't know, these are all the Republicans that ran in Brooklyn. I think from an outsider's perspective, for the first time doing this, the reason why the national GOP doesn't come into Kings County or doesn't come into New York City, it is a system on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, of the worst type of fucking grifters I've ever seen in my life. And so the idea, they just don't want it. It's worse than throwing good money after bad. It's giving money to low life scales. And the system is overpopulated with it. Nobody wants to work. Everybody wants a handout. We met with people and everyone wanted how much? Well, I have 4 full-time employees I pay. I run a fucking business. I'm okay to pay people. What are you gonna do for me on this? Well, I'll do this. I'll help you get on the ballot. I can get on the fucking ballot myself. That's not helping me. So I tried using an incentive-based strategy to these people who wanted to be paid for their expertise. I said, if we pay you, if we win, we'll triple what we're agreeing to. You want $1,000 a week? How about you take $500 a week? And if we win, we'll retroactively increase that to $4,000 a week. Because that's how I do a lot of my work. I only get paid if I win, right? Nobody, not one grifter, not one person accepted that offer. And they're not all grifters. Some of them actually do work and they do want to get paid for the work they do. There was the only person who agreed to that transaction was this woman. And I'll say her name was Renee. You see her on Twitter. She's out there. She agreed to that. She's like, let's do it. Let's get it done. She reviewed everything we did and felt the plan was good. And that was just for on Athena's scale. I'm almost thinking that the GOP knew this, right? They're like, we're not throwing $1 million at Kings County because you guys are going to throw it down the fucking toilet. And it's going to go to all the wrong people. And I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive and optimistic to think that's what it is. But I do think there's definitely a part of that because there's a lot of people down that food chain, everyone with their hand out. And it's just impossible. It's like nobody does anything for the right thing anymore.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into a show just about that. And I'd love to go through like Athena's experience and Elijah's experience. Because the thing that bothers me the most is this: like when you're sitting there as a working class individual, you think that the people that are at the top of the food chain in your political party that supposedly stands up for you, that supposedly supports for you, only cares about one thing: winning elections. And that really doesn't seem to be the case because I'm shocked. I thought that Athena was the Republican back candidate, and I've come to find out that she was never officially endorsed. And same thing for Elijah. And I'm like, and again, they were the only Republicans running in their district. And in some districts, like Elijah's, he was the only Republican to ever run. So, and I understand campaigns cost money and things need money to run. I understand that. But is that the overall goal? And if that's the overall goal, like Jimmy, look, I look at you, like you're a smart guy. You know, you have a business. Most of the things you do, you put a lot of effort in, you don't get compensated for. I mean, like you don't, like you do these things because you care, because you love New York City, because you want to right the ship. And by righting the ship, there will be money to be made down the road, right? But right now, there's a lot of sweat equity that needs to be put in by people to really restore politics in New York City. And I think it should be the blueprint for what happens across this country. But it was really disappointing to me to watch. And I'm not picking on the GOP. I'm not picking on the Brooklyn GOP here. I'm talking about every borough across the city. Like, it is disgraceful to watch. It was disgraceful to watch those turncoats. And everybody's like beating up on Curtis now, beating up on me, the Beto, everybody that's supporting him. You, Jimmy, we're all getting crushed. We're all Marxist all of a sudden. And I'm like, no. We're not Marxist. We're the only people with principles and integrity. You're all a bunch of fence jumpers. You're all a bunch of fence jumpers. And Curtis Lee only got 7% of the vote. Was there fraud? Yeah. Was he going to win? No, he wasn't going to win. But I think there was fraud done to even make him look even worse. And then on top of that, you know, he got so little of the vote because of the millions and millions of dollars in this whole propaganda campaign that he can't win. He would have did much better than that. So he was never the spoiler. And you're literally being played. And I'm with you. I'm with you, Jimmy. Kudos to the Democratic Party because they hooked you all and you bought it. And it was disgraceful, dude. It was disgraceful.
It was COVID all over again. Mamdani's the virus and Cuomo's the vaccine. That's what they sold you. That's what they tried. And the same people who ran out and got that shot, the same people who sat there and stood 6 feet apart with masks, the same people who walked into restaurants and showed their scarlet letter card, they're the same people out there voting for fucking Cuomo, right? You got played again, my friends. You got played, and maybe one day you'll learn your lesson. It's okay. I'm okay to continue, like you said, put the sweat equity in. Look, I'm going to be 50 years old this year. The men of my family historically die like 54, 56. I work every day to push something forward to get it done. It's that simple, man. If it all goes, it goes. This means nothing. I tell you, the more I watch people and they tried to turn it into like a religious battle. And they were going to lose that from the beginning, right? Like, they tried to make it like anti-Semite, Jewish. Like, matter of fact, the only people who suffer, in my opinion, are Christians. It's like a total anti-Christian campaign. And it is what it is. Like, kudos to them. They ran if you didn't recognize his team running a good campaign, you didn't recognize Andrew Cuomo's team running two terrible campaigns, it was intentional. They never wanted Cuomo to win.
I totally agree, dude. So like the topic came up. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore actually had a clip of us on his podcast, even though he didn't make a mention of To the Finest Unfiltered. But he actually had a little clip on there when me and Eric interviewed Zohran Mamdani, and his point was pretty much, everyone kind of knows my point on the whole mandate. It was anti-worker rights. It was anti-civil rights, and Jimmy Dore went a little further on that to say, like, here's a socialist. His number one platform is worker rights. Is he really a socialist? Like, he's saying no, he's just the same old Democrat packaged differently. And, 6 months down the road, all of his supporters are going to be grabbing pitchforks and saying, where the hell are my fast and free buses? Where's all the free shit that you told me I was going to get? And why you're hanging out in Somos with all these Democrats and hanging out with the establishment, And so, currently Adams is playing a game too. Eric Adams says he will reinstate terminated vaccinated workers. However, they will not receive any form of compensation. They will not have their time restored. They will only pick up immediately where they left off, as if they took a leave of absence. No compensation there. No seniority added. Nothing. They just but they could return to whatever rank they are. Now, looking at that, I'm like, well, there's a time period where it's going to start, and you have up to December 5th to submit, meaning that more than likely this is going to run into Zohran Mamdani's administration. So I reached out to Zohran. Shocker, I've got no response. But I reached out to him and I asked him if he was advised on this policy and if he supports this policy. So I haven't got a response. I've asked several news outlets the same question that reported on this. They haven't got that response either. They're trying to figure this out as well. What are your thoughts, Jimmy, on this whole plan of reinstating workers by Eric Adams? Do you think it's a political ploy? Do you think it has legs? Do you think this is legacy protection? Like, what are you seeing from it?
I don't know why Adams is doing this at the 9th hour, except maybe to truly try to correct without admitting he was wrong, this historical injustice. Like, and again, this was never about the vaccine. This was always about the workers' rights issue, right? They literally imposed a post-hire condition of employment that took away all legally entitled due process, and then they had the skilled courts, who are all political appointees, concede and consent on it. And I would have listen, as someone who's in and out of the courts, if you are somebody who has this opportunity to get your job back, if you intend to work again, do not look for the courts for justice, and you need this work, I would say take it, and maybe let's forgive Adams. I don't. It was terrible. And John and everyone else, all your listeners, listen to me. You cops should know more than anybody. The court system is so far gone in New York City and New York State. There is no justice to be had. It's over. The court system is. It's in my opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion, I think, still in New York, right? I think it's totally corrupt. I think more so than the political parties, and that's saying a lot. So I think Eric Adams recognized they pulled a lot of strings to get judges to go in favor of the city.
I totally agree. Marlon, what are your thoughts? You had a couple of days to think about it. What are your thoughts about this whole thing?
Well, I think the last minute, policy by Adams is to clear up his legacy, to put something on the resume in case he plans to come back to politics later on. And I think it's once again there's a little bit of mocking us in there because you don't have any back pay, we're not getting back our time, and the time frame to get this done doesn't match up because there's a hearing on the 19th by DCAS, and they said there's 30 days to implement the policy after the hearing. Now, if that's the case, after the 19th, we're going to Thanksgiving, which means it's probably not going to get done. So that means it's not going to happen until the first week of December, which means there's 30 days to get this done. And I'm not sure 30 days is enough to get it done because last time in 2023, when I spoke to NYPD personnel, they told me it takes a while because they need to get
3 months.
they need to straighten out the budget with DCAS. So
3 months,
this
they
time
said.
frame, huh?
They said 3 months it takes to get reinstated.
Yeah. So how's this going to work when Mamdani comes in January? Something to keep in mind. Mamdani comes in January, and Mamdani already has Melanie Hartzog on his transition team. Now, Melanie Hartzog was she was deputy mayor of health and human services, and she was in charge of the vaccine command center during COVID. So how likely is that policy to get carried out once Mamdani gets in office?
I'm sorry.
Jim. No, go ahead, Jim.
I was just, and again, just moving back. Maybe it's all a horse and pony show, right? I didn't realize it's going to take them 90 days to get back, and who knows? I apologize. Sorry,
no. I mean, but we don't know, right? Like, we don't know. Maybe they was blowing smoke up our ass last time saying it was 90 days. Maybe it only takes 5 days. Maybe they could get it done on December 5th and get everybody reinstated by December 15th. Sal, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Like you weren't affected by the mandate. Like, what are your thoughts looking from the outside, knowing Eric Adams? Like, why is he doing this now? And in the last few months of his office, like, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, it's simple. He's looking to say he did something positive so that he has a future, whether it be to be the Albanian ambassador or whatever scam he's trying to run after this. This whole thing is a head fake. I don't even know if it be getting implemented, let alone if it's even real. Okay, it's just a way for him to say, "Oh, look, I got I did the right thing for the unvaccinated workers. I made them return to work." He could have done this 4 years ago. Instead, he wasted millions of dollars fighting everyone, and he lost. Okay, but he doesn't like to lose. So this is another thing. He's doing this to try to, at least at the end, hook some people and say, "Look, I did something," which he's not doing anything. Because if I'm not mistaken, this deal was given a long time ago where come back to work, but all your back pay, all your benefits, everything while you were sitting on the sidelines, thanks to the city, we're not giving you anything. That was the same deal it was years ago. So it's just another head fake. But people that are low information will fall for it. Oh, Trump said so. That's another thing. People need to get this guy out of your head as a deity. You need to hold him responsible just like everyone else. So you're right. When someone in here is saying blaming the GOP and stuff, yes, you need to blame the GOP and Trump. You think that endorsement of Andrew Cuomo had nothing to do with what happened the other day? Oh, but that's right. He endorsed Eric Adams first. And by the way, remember this when those impeachment hearings happened, when they asked, "Oh, did you have anything to do with this or what?" And he said, "I did Eric a favor." What do you mean you did Eric a favor? Oh, you dropped his case? So they're going to start investigating every human being that was in his administration that spoke to him and his lawyer. And who's going to be the star witness? Eric L. Adams. So this is all a head fake. But people, I mean, if you're going to fall for all this WWE stuff, what can I tell you? Get ready for the swerve while you're in the ring. And then what? They're going to come out with NWO shirts and this guy's part of the New World Order. It's just, it is what it is. And they're going to fall. People are going to fall for this. I hate to see some cop or firefighter actually agrees to this scam deal that's not even a real deal. It's just so Eric Adams can say, "I did something."
If Sal, I'm going to tell you, as an attorney some of these people have been out of work for 3-4 years. Like, I'm just telling you on a practical level, I agree with you. But here's the thing, right? Eric Adams, I donated to his first campaign, right? I believed a lot of the lies he said, right? Eric Adams really did get the fucking short end of the stick here. Like, soon as he opened his mouth against the illegal immigrants, the DOJ they fucking went after him really, really hard, right?
I don't agree with that. I think that actually was going on under, of all people, President Trump in 2017. It started then, and it takes a while. As you could tell now, after now he's gone, I could assure you the DOJ is going to go after the NYPD, upper echelon, all that stuff they were doing. It takes a while to put those cases together. Since he's a politician, you need to be careful how you present the case, because then what do they say? What do I keep hearing? It's political. Everything's political. No, you're a criminal. Sorry, Eric Adams, you're a criminal. You've destroyed everybody around you. You actually hire people just to destroy them. So as bad as Tim Pearson is and Phil Banks, you either let them loose or tell them, yeah, don't worry about it. I got it. I'm the mayor. And then when the going gets tough, I don't know anything. Remember what he was saying? I don't know anything about turkey. I don't eat turkey. He thinks it's a big joke.
Screw Eric Adams, though. Listen, he's a corrupt bastard. He should be in jail right now. I don't care how they went after him. He had his hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. But listen, just another thing to point out. The New York City political democratic machine, they left a black mayor out to dry, right? They walked away from him. They wouldn't even put him on the ballot. Then I agree. I understand a lot of what you're saying. And believe me, his policies have destroyed so much of New York City. I think there's a lot of larger political maneuvering, and he's been
he elevated Mamdani, but let's not forget now what people voted for also. The godfather of Zohran Mamdani is Andrew Cuomo. His policies destroyed the state, destroyed the city, set everything up for his radical base. And by the way, his base and how he became a politician was the Working Families Party. And back in 2014, it was Andrew Cuomo. And I noticed because I remember when he was running his campaign against Carl Palladino, he destroyed all the other parties. Remember, New York State was a state that extra you could run under any line. Green Party, Libertarian Party, Reform Party. He crushed all those parties because he didn't want any opposition. And guess what other party he left? The Worker Family Party that endorsed Andrew Cuomo. So again, this guy is the godfather of Mamdani and everything that's happened in New York State. But they actually told you to vote for him. That's what Trump's going to vote for.
Just real quick, I'm going to tell you, I agree with you 100%. And I'm going to say this, and people are really going to hate me because I told John I had been at the Kings County Republican Reorganization meeting, and at that meeting, it was in September. I was with Athena, her husband, and we're sitting there and we're listening to people talk about potentially endorsing Cuomo. I looked at them. I was like, what are you people doing? Like, get me. And they're like, well, this and that. I was like, oh, you people are crazy. I was like, let's be very clear. If the Kings County GOP came out and said that, I would go back to my club and my entire club. We all would have jumped ship, and we would have been supporting Mamdani, because I could never in a million years see how the GOP, anybody who's a Republican, can endorse this legacy corrupt Democratic political machine. He's a creature of the machine. He hasn't worked a day in his life. He has always just been living on political grift. Every job he's had has been a political fucking job. Please, experience.
Jimmy, he drove a tow truck to put himself through college. Like,
yeah.
He's a blue guy. And then he married a Kennedy 2 years later. Like,
yeah, right. He marries a Kennedy. Yeah.
I told as a party, I'm like, dude, he wouldn't even. The only reason he would have ever been in the same room as a Kennedy was to be serving her hors d'oeuvres or being a bartender. There's no way. Don't try to sell me that he's a blue collar guy. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
Listen, dude, it's 8:30. I know.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Bro. Anything before you get out of here? Anything you want to let us know?
Listen. Back to the Donald J. Trump Kings County Republican Club. Every working class New Yorker, you're being screwed, you're being sabotaged. Like John just said, working class, I worked through college. I worked as a janitor for Local 74, right? I'm telling you, these people, they're not for working class. Nobody who has a wedding in the Arab immigrants and then Uganda and all this, they are not working class. They would never sit down and eat with you. They wouldn't live that life with you. These are all the oligarchs. One side is funded by one set of billionaires. The other side is funded by another set of billionaires. If you're a working class Brooklynite, come to the Donald J. Trump Club. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, whatever you are. The people we're going to put forward are going to be pure working class New Yorkers. And that's what we got to remember. Like, stop sabotaging ourselves. Let's get policies in that help us, and stop, believing every lie they tell you. So thanks again, John. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you, Sal, Marlon. Thanks, guys. Sorry I got to run off to court this morning, but I'll catch you guys next time.
Jimmy, stay in the fight, brother. I'll talk to you soon, dude.
Thank you. See you soon, Jimmy.
So Jimmy Wagner, make sure you go check out the Donald J. Trump Republican Club. Great club. Been to a couple of meetings already. I love it. It's a good energy. It really is like a working class populist environment. And as even though it's named around Donald J. Trump, there's a lot of thoughts in there. There's a lot of people that have thoughts, positive and negative, about Trump. And it's everybody gets along. It's a great time. So make sure you check that out. So today we're going to be discussing Zohran Mamdani. Is he really for the working class, or is he just another lying Democrat? Is he just part of the Democrat machine? I've been saying forever, I'm like, during the whole fear campaign, I'm like, I don't even see anything different here. I mean, 2021, Adams' campaign, to me, I could mirror literally every policy. I actually think Eric Adams' policy was further left. We've had John Shell, we're going to play that clip a little later, going out on the news, and he's talking about how you can't keep the current levels of the NYPD, like because the attrition rate, because of the amount of people retiring and resigning, keeping 5,000, keeping the levels at they are currently is impossible. So what he's saying is you have to consistently hire more. But he worked for a mayor that in 2021, his campaign was that he was actually going to lower the headcount of the NYPD, and he was going to do that through attrition. And that's even way further more radical than Zohran Mamdani. And that is the only accomplishment that Eric Adams actually was able to do. He also said that he was going to defund the police by $600 million to $1 billion. He wasn't able to do that because he hired highly incompetent people to run the New York City Police Department. At worst, totally, utterly corrupt. Right. So there's that. And I think personally, he really is just he is a tired old Democrat, just packaged as a populist, working class, socialist mayor. And his message resonated, and it was a brilliant campaign. And I think that his supporters, Zohran Mamdani supporters, and there's a bunch of you on here today bashing us, I think you're going to be highly disappointed. Marlon, what are your thoughts about Zohran Mamdani overall as we go into this discussion?
Yeah, well, I said on Twitter that I'm going to give him 6 months before you guys who voted for him are disappointed. And that's because, he can't pay for all the stuff that he's promising, nor is a lot of them, or is he in a position to make those calls. Okay. And it's the question is, how many times are we all going to get fooled? I mean, it happens on both the right and the left. And you guys on the left, at one point, I was a center-left Democrat. Okay, all my family is, and if you're in certain minority communities, it's like good luck telling people to vote Republican. Okay, but I fell for the hope and change of Obama too. Hope and change, yeah, and then you got more of the same, and that's when I said, you know what, F this, I'm out of here. Okay. And in this case, some of you young guys who voted for Mamdani fell for the same hope changey BS. Okay. And you're not getting any of that. Okay. And you're not getting any of that. And the signs are already there when you got people like Melanie Herzog already in Mamdani's campaign. Okay. People from Eric Adams are now working for Mamdani, but yeah, Mamdani's changed and he's different. Okay. Sure.
Mamdani, I think even Curtis Lewis said it. He's like another Obama. He's a better version of Obama. He's like a modern day version of Obama, who Obama didn't even endorse this guy, but that's what it is. By the way, I see the picture you put up. While they're in Somos, look at the familiar face that's over there. It looks like the mob associate and self-admitted criminal Jimmy Rodriguez is over there, because Tish James was there bringing Zohran Mamdani. So looks like the nightlife mayor and all that stuff, it's not going to go away. Why is this guy there with all these people to meet Zohran Mamdani? Am I right or am I wrong, John?
I mean, and that's the point, right? Like, Somos is a political Democrat conference to like rub elbows with the elite in the Democratic Party. Immediately after winning the election, Zohran Mamdani's flying out there to stay in a luxury hotel to hobnob with all the top Democrats. Is he really a socialist? I don't think so. I think he's the face of the Democratic Party. I think he push the message of the Democratic Party, and he did it a lot better than Andrew Cuomo did. Because again, in that debate, in the debates, you really saw it. And if you read their platforms, there was zero difference between them. But yet somehow Republicans allowed people like Sid Rosenberg, John Katzimatidis, and I'm sorry to say it, even Donald Trump, because in my opinion, I think that Donald Trump wanted Zohran Mamdani to be the mayor. I think he was happy. I mean, I think he's excited. And you could see from the messaging that's coming out about this. ICE is telling NYPD to come work for him. He's saying game on. I think he needs a straw man, because I think what a lot of you people are seeing there, that we need the boogeyman in New York, because what a lot of people are seeing is that are you invigorated as a conservative or a Republican to go vote for these tired old Republicans that were telling you to go vote for Andrew Cuomo? That were telling you that Andrew Cuomo is going to save New York? He's your only hope. Are you invigorated to go out there in the midterms and vote? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not. I'm looking at my congressman and I'm like, who are you even? Like, I don't even care. Like, you're no better or worse than a socialist or a Democrat. You're a uniparty skell. You know what I mean? You're not going to do anything. You know what I mean? Like Mike Lawler, you ever taken advice from that guy again? A Sid Rosenberg, a Greg Kelly, a John Katzimatidis. These people are the swamp. And honestly, Make America Great Again turned into the swamp. We just took a solid red borough of Staten Island in New York City and we changed it solid blue because of MAGA. For who? For who? For a guy like Bob Holden, a Democrat like him? No, that I can understand. That I could totally understand. No, we did it for New York's most radical, worst governor ever. And people are sitting here crying, saying, Curtis Lee should have dropped out to save New York. And listen, I failed math a lot in school. I'm not that smart. But I'll tell you what, the numbers don't add up, because regardless of anyone who dropped out, Zohran Mamdani was winning that election. Didn't matter. The numbers aren't there. So, I mean, I think this just shows that Zohran Mamdani is not the working class mayor. He's the establishment Democrat candidate that just had a much better platform, and he said he was going to give you everything for free, and you're actually just going to get more of the same. Maybe his administration looks a little less corrupt on the surface. Maybe he appoints some more professional people than Eric Adams, and the corruption isn't out in the open. But I think it's going to be all the same business as usual. Like what are your thoughts about this? He's in Somos, Marlon. Like, what do you think?
Well, it's 100% business as usual. I mean, there's a picture of Alex Soros posing with Zohran Mamdani. You know, people think he's like he's like the working class or he's like the underclass. He's not. Like I'm gonna post a link in the chat, but he's not. He's just another repackaged form of the establishment corporatist Democrat Party. And those are the policies you're going to get. People need to wake up and realize how much the billionaire class, the billionaire donor vampire class, manipulates your emotions, and they manipulate they tend to hijack populism and give you a candidate who may seem to be a populist candidate, but he's not really. Because they think that if they give you the option, you think it's the one you want, that's gonna make those changes that you need, you're not going to vote for what should have been the populist candidate, the natural one. Okay. And that's how they've hijacked it numerous times. Like I mentioned before, Obama was a hijacking of it. Okay. And unless Trump makes changes like Trump 1.0 promised, I'm starting to question whether Trump himself is another hijacking of Republican populism and the Tea Party, MAGA, America First movement. So that picture of Soros, again, Alex Soros. So you guys know Alex Soros, George Soros' son. Soros' right-hand man is the Treasury Secretary, who, if you're watching Trump's press conferences, Scott Bessent is always there. He's always there. Okay. And he deals with not just domestic economic policy, but in a lot of ways, he's involved with the tariffs and the foreign negotiations with like China. So my point is, stop getting fooled by this, by the psyops that they present to us. Okay.
Yeah, and this thing too, I see this Mamdani slam for Jenna luxury resort. I wonder who's paying for that. But again, it's the same thing as what Eric Adams was. Literally, Eric Adams' people were working with Zohran Mamdani when they said, "Oh, we're leaving because Trump's guy, Eric Adams, and he's a disgrace and all that." And they all were working for Zohran Mamdani. So we were correct in telling you about the 3-card Mamdani scam. A lot of you still fell for it. And now you have business as usual, because when you see a guy like the mob associate, Jimmy Rodriguez, he's bringing Conso Frito over to him now, right? So all he did is, Jimmy's a guy, if you go back, Hillary Clinton announced her run for the Senate through Jimmy. Bill Clinton and him, they're pictured together, and then he knows a litany of other people. He's an old school establishment Democrat who's now being introduced to the, I guess, new nightlife mayor, Mamdani, who was out in the clubs himself. So you could see where this is going. This guy believes in it's the same thing. He's not some socialist. You're going to see he's a corporatist, like Marlon kept telling you. And that shows you that. They have a little meaning in Soros, and they all get together in Somos. They're all together. It's the same people. They're smiling. Tish James. This is the world wrestling entertainment. And you guys literally fell for it. You had the one guy who's anti-establishment and Curtis Lewa, and you gave him 7% of the vote.
Wait, but look at this. Look at what I got up on the screen. This is Joe Borelli. Have fun at Somos, everyone. See you next year. So he couldn't fly out. He's having a problem. I was supposed to fly United out of Newark myself to get back to Florida, and I had a problem. So instead, I just rented a convertible Mustang and drove back. But he couldn't get to Puerto Rico. But Joe Borelli, who told you to vote for Andrew Cuomo, he was on his way to Somos. Guess who else? Ina Vernikov, Republican, staunch Republican, on her way to Somos. So let's see. All of the games, all of the illusion. Joe Borelli's there. Zohran Mamdani's there. Ina Vernikov's there. All the top Democrats are there. And you think that any of these people care for us? There was one candidate that cared for us, and that's why I stand strong today. I'm not a fence jumper like Sid. I'm actually from Brooklyn, for real, and I don't do shit like that. And now he's out there saying I would have got more of the vote than Curtis Lewa. Guy's delusional. If this guy runs for mayor and any of you vote for him, I'll have less respect for you than if you voted for Andrew Cuomo, because this guy is a serious clown. And FYI, if you run for mayor, we're bringing up all the dirt out on you. Everything. Because you wanted to go personal on other people and you want to go personal about us, no problem. We'll go personal because we're a lot cleaner than you are, my friend.
Well, another thing, too, is if he could have, I think he would go to Somos himself.
100%.
I'm waiting for when he goes, I know I call him a jihadi. He's coming on the show. He's coming on the show today. I'm number one radio show. I'm going to have him. Zohran, he's my commie. He's my guy. And then when he's done with it, he'll say at the end, my great friend, my good friend, Zohran. He's going to be on all the time. Another WWE setup, If it's not him, it'll be some other one. Soon, John Katsimatidis will be, with him. Don't worry. He had Bill de Blasio on the other day, by the way. Bill de Blasio is the right-hand man. He's the mentor to Zohran Mamdani. When he ran for mayor and he bowed out, he supported Bill de Blasio. He was giving money to him. He's hanging out with him. That's John Katsimatidis, basically the money man when it comes to the GOP in New York City, and his daughter who runs the New York City GOP. That's what you're looking at, folks. And then I know the New York Young Republicans, they're a big establishment club out there. But let's face it, they have this big gal with all these people, and he got 7% of the vote. So something is really wrong in New York City. Something's wrong. And it's more of a grift, like Jimmy Wagner's telling you. That's what it is. And I understand you go, oh, someone in here too was saying, oh, it's big, the deep blue states or whatever. No. You're going to have a problem come next year. That's momentum that's brewing and growing on the other side. And it's not just the blue cities that are talking like I am about what Trump's been doing. That America First agenda has been anything but that right now. He has to address what he ran on. And if he doesn't, and he's only got a few months, expect the same thing to happen come next November.
Yeah, you're right. Now the fear is that they're going to again hijack left populism and turn it into full-blown socialism or full-blown corporate socialism. Well, modern neo-serfdom. Okay,
Fascism.
but yeah,
Fascism.
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Fascism. Though
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
say the right is engaged in, which it looks like they're all engaged in.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing is, to go back to what Sal says, I think New York is definitely unhealthy, and I think America as a whole is in an unhealthy situation. When you have a class of older people who refuse to make the changes necessary for the future health of this country, okay, it's like you're when you're selling out the younger generations for to preserve your status and your wealth and your way of life, then you create an unhealthy situation for this country and for the fate of this country. And it's a problem now, especially when you look at other countries of the world that have young populations that are. I'm talking specifically in the East, where you have younger populations that are coming into power in government and upwardly mobile societies, whereas you have had diminishing infrastructure, you have job losses, you have unaffordability, you have ingrained systematic corruption in government. It's unhealthy.
Yeah. So this is Mamdani's messaging, right? This is his messaging. He's the communist messaging is workers of the world unite, right? It's a revolution of the worker, right? So, and that's kind of his messaging, and that's sort of his platform. But again, like Marlon stated earlier, his platform isn't realistic. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get fast and free buzz. Look at the thumbnail for the show. I mean, I'll bring it up in a little while, but we made it a bus with broken wheels, broken down, dirty, and that's, it's a joke. It's a joke. Like you think, even if you got your rent freezes, okay, they're for periods of time. Bill de Blasio did 3 of them. The world didn't end when he did them. And it wasn't
there are no police zones. John, remember you exposed that. That's already been going on. So
that's no police
that's
zones.
headache.
Yeah, I mean, like all the fear mongering around it. It's like like the stuff that we have already. And then I continuously, every place I go or every place I'm asked, everyone wants to paint me out to be a Marxist because they're like, this guy took a photo with the unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and I'm like, okay, well. Eric Adams gave the guy a award and took a photo with him. Like, what are your thoughts about that? How come you're not upset with Eric Adams? I'm upset with him. And the conversation ceases at that moment in time because they don't know that, and they're getting hooked and gaslit because they're not well informed about what's happening. So look, this is just a quick click. I'm not going to play all of this, but just listen to what he says here. Listen to this.
The sun may have set over our city this evening. But as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
So, a real populist, socialist messaging, right? He's going to empower workers. He's going to empower the workers. And again, I'm going to go back to this mandate because it's truly important that we realize this. Here's Marlon Bethel, an immigrant to this country, a resident of Queens, rising from the poor into the middle class, and they stop him cold with the thumb of tyranny. You're going to do this or we're going to destroy you. And we asked Zohran Mamdani, would you reinstate and compensate Marlon? And he said, no, I won't, because I need the ability to do this again. And so I ask, is he really for the working class? Like, what are your thoughts around that, Marlon? Is he a working class mayor?
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not. And the fact that, again, that he has someone who directed the campaign to vaccinate the entire city under Eric Adams is now working for his campaign should raise a lot of eyebrows and should have you guys who are still on the job, you should be raised up right now because, the city, the city's economic health is on pins and needles because of both subsidies from the federal government and the fact that Wall Street tax receipts are going to be high because Wall Street is eating really well these days. Okay, despite the fact that the economy is bad. Okay, so you should be really raised up at what else may come from Melanie Hartzog, who has a career in finance and budgeting. Okay, what measures are going to come down their way? But no, Mamdani is not he doesn't care about the working class. Okay, he's repackaged for the establishment, and he's already cozying up to the establishment like Bill Aikman. Okay, and there was rumors that behind the scenes, I believe it was Jack that noted it, that behind the scenes that Mamdani's people were already talking to the billionaire donor class, letting them know that things are going to be okay. So it's a grift, people, and the fact that Mamdani can so openly say, like he did to John and Eric on this interview, that he could openly say that no, I'm not bringing him in, and that I still want to retain the ability to do that again. Is a direct sign that no, he does not actually care about the working class.
What do you think, Sal? Is he going to be a workers' mayor? Is he going to be for the poor and the middle class in New York City, or is he just going to be for the wealthy elites?
No, again, I keep telling people this guy, whether it was him, Eric, or Cuomo, you got the same person. His people are the same people that work for the same people that were either previously there or just there, meaning with Eric Adams. You got scammed. You looked at yourself in the mirror. I got scammed. That's what you're going to say to yourselves. You'll be saying that very soon. Everything this guy tells you, when you see things like what he said on the show with John and Eric, he's telling you, yeah, I believe in the workers, but we're going to keep them gone because he needs the ability to do it again. So that's not what who was he referencing? Some other socialist guy in the past that failed himself, whatever, Ed Dweeb, whatever the hell. Listen, that's what I'm talking about. The guy is another version. He's a newer version of Obama selling you garbage. So if you want to call Trump a salesman, a snake oil salesman, you got one in Mamdani. He's just a little younger, he got a big bright smile, but he's going to do what they tell him to do. I told you all this. His record showed this. Assemblyman, he wasn't even there. He barely passed anything. He wasn't. You know why he wasn't there? Because he doesn't care. His life, he makes so much money doing other things that, he took a picture with this imam guy. Everybody went crazy. I can't stand when they say guilt by association. Your picture with this guy, therefore, because this imam got an award from Eric Adams. He got an award from Bill de Blasio. He was with Michael Bloomberg, but, you're making a big deal over Mamdani saying hi to him in the street. But in the picture, there's another guy he's in a picture with, in that picture, who's like a cutout of what he's going to be. Yusef Salam. A city councilman. He's part of the Central Park Five. Another guy who's never in his office, barely goes to work. But you know what he goes around the country and does? He gets speaking engagements, makes a ton of money doing that. You know why? He lives in Georgia, really. He has a home in Georgia, and he was making more money as a civilian than before he went into this role that they had to convince him to do, city councilman. That's exactly what Zohran Mamdani is now. You think this guy wants to be the mayor when he has a great life outside of being a politician? They put him up to it because they're part of the same party. That's the idea. It's a centralized idea where, okay, we're going to put you somewhere and then we're going to pull the strings and tell you what to do. They're just better organized. I don't know if it's Soros, whoever it is. It's a brilliant idea that somehow bamboozles everyone. Anyone in here that is just hating on this, you got bamboozled, then you're going to get what you asked for. You're going to complain in a few months. Nothing's going to really change. It's just a different way of looking at things slightly. And this whole thing, you got scammed. So no, I don't think he's not going to change anything. He's not going to put anything he's implementing. No one's going back to work. He'll fight the same lawsuits. He'll do the same thing because that's what they tell him to do.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing, right? He was like, oh, I'm going to keep Jessica Tisch. So you're a socialist and you're for the worker and you're anti-Israel, but you're going to keep a billionaire Zionist as the police commissioner? I don't know. That sounds pretty weird to me. Like that's pretty strange. Like how do you socialists feel about that? Like, I mean, like it seems pretty like everybody's playing on the same team here. And, I don't know. Like, what do you think about this? Like this article just conveniently comes out, by the way, because the media is not in the tank for everybody. Like the media is not trying to show you like, oh, there's no way that the great crime fighter Jessica Tisch could ever work for Zohran Mamdani. Like, people are saying like, oh, there'll be a rift. I personally think there is no way in hell that Jessica Tisch is going to be the police commissioner for Zohran Mamdani. I could be wrong, but I believe, she was myth built for these last few months to tell you crime's down in New York City. And although you're scared when you ride the train and you're scared when you walk around the streets, and I'll tell you, dude, there was a lot of maniacs in Manhattan. I was like, wow, I don't remember this many maniacs. Like, this is crazy, man. And I feel like every time I get back, it's significantly worse. And, everybody's scared, but like the media told us that the crime's down. So I guess it's down. I just don't take the train at night anymore. And I don't stay out late anymore. And I'm afraid to get in an Uber. And I'm worried about getting carjacked. And I'm worried about getting robbed on New York City street. And wow, there's all these illegals around here doing like really third world crimes off of scooters. But yeah, now everything's good because the media told me. So they myth-build the billionaire heiress that she's actually brought crime down in New York City. And so what they're going to do, in my opinion, is Zohran Mamdani is going to step in. And if Tisch really wants to be the mayor, you're going to see the media turn on him. He's going to get the Bill de Blasio treatment. Next thing you know, crime's going to be the worst thing in the world, even though it's going to be at the same levels it's been at the last few months. It's going to continually trickle the way it's been, trickling up. And it's just how they feed you the garbage. And then Jessica Tisch is going to make her run for mayor. And she was this big, great crime fighter. And she's coming in to combat the evil Zohran. And that's just how I see it. This article comes out. Tisch got a heads up from the Trump administration before the ICE raid on Canal Street. Obviously, I mean, no cops were there. That was the most obvious thing. We pointed it out, right? Like, why were no cops there as ICE agents are having things thrown at them? Like, what was that all about? Where were the cops? You're in Lower Manhattan on Canal Street. How were no cops around? It's impossible. And they wouldn't have violated sanctuary city law if they would have helped. If they would have helped make the arrest, possibly. But once the ICE agents are now getting attacked to restore order, so basically they failed at doing their fundamental job. They endangered New York City residents, and Jessica Tisch went along with it. And what do you guys think? What do you think, Sal? Is Jessica Tisch going to be Zohran Mamdani's police commissioner?
Oh, the soccer moms, no. If she is, it's going to be brief because there's going to be a lot of tension behind the scenes because she thinks that, she's worth billions of dollars. So who is Zohran Mamdani to tell her what to do? That's the problem she had recently behind the scenes. But as we've learned, like when I had John Scholar on, he explained with Tom Donlan, he was a police commissioner before her, what was going on. You heard what happened. It was Madry and Shell and Kazdor. All these other guys were running rampant. And Tom Donlan said, we got to get rid of these guys. And Eric's answer was, they're my top guys that brought crime down. And he's like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? So, and Tariq Shepard, who, by the way, his henchman who tried to kill someone is now pleading guilty, and he's going to get 10 years in New Jersey. That's the wonderful administration Eric Adams put underneath him. And look, the only difference here was if Mamdani stays out of scandals, meaning he doesn't hire his boys that are criminals, if he has any around him, to work in these positions, he'll get reelected. The problem with Eric is he is a criminal. I don't know how else to say it. And he infects other people to do the same kind of activity. So everyone he put underneath him, they're terrible. Every one of them. Now, this one, the soccer mom, she really has no idea what she's doing. And I give him one example was yesterday. I don't know if you noticed, there was the department trial of Detective Smith. Remember her? Eric Sanders represents it. Remember, they said that she was stealing time because the deputy chief, Henderson, told her to stay home and she could work from home because she was caring for an ailing mom. Somebody wrote a blank letter saying she was stealing, another one of these blank letter jobs. And you know what happened? The trial commissioner at the end here is saying, well, I think this is mens rea. We have no case here. Because Eric very nicely put how in the EEOC and for the federal mandates in this guidelines are, if you just ask for help, meaning you need some kind of accommodation, that's it. That's the most you do as an employee. And the fact that Henderson, who's a coward, didn't come to this trial, by the way, Scott Henderson already said in his own testimony when he was interviewed, he said, I allowed it. He's the chief. Chiefs, not only that, he's an executive. And they were trying to diminish that in the trial, and they were calling him he. They weren't even saying chief. He. No, he's a chief. He overrules all of you guys because he's a executive. He's one of your main executives. Only the chief of patrol, the chief of department, and the first deputy commissioner could overrule this guy. So they want to act like, you know why? I'll tell you why, John. That's the soccer mom. The soccer mom is taking it out and trying. This is what she's doing. She's literally going after people. And I think Marlon's right. I'm sure, Marlon, you're going to say something about this. The Rosario case, for her to stay on, she's going to need to fire those two cops because that's what they want. Anyone who makes the news needs to get fired, need to make an example out of him. That was de Blasio. That was Bratton. That was Ray Kelly. Same thing. If she fires those two, maybe she sticks around. But that's the agenda.
No, I agree. I think that unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. And FYI, you were getting the same shit with Cuomo. Because again, what we're saying here is they need to appeal to those voters to win elections. And if Zohran Mamdani, whatever he's pushing, is appealing to voters, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that same type of thing. I agree with you. I'm praying for those two cops. I hope that we're all wrong here. But I totally agree with you. She's going to need to fire those two cops if she's going to stay. She's going to need to do her shaming ritual to stay on. Marlon, what do you think? Is Jessica Tisch going to be Zohran Mamdani's police commissioner?
Well, I think the reason she didn't make a decision now on those cops is because she wants to stay in the good graces of the far left. But I'm not gonna rule out that she could be his police commissioner. And I'll simply say that what does the police commissioner mean anyway these days? Huh? What does that mean? I mean, sure,
you could have a detective
Adams,
really running the department, right?
Yeah. I mean, they might have given Tisch more room to be PC because of all the blowback from all the Donlin and marginalizing Sewell and then Caban's nonsense. But the thing is, the PC really it doesn't mean anything anymore. You have the deputy mayor of public safety, and he could easily leave her a PC and then put Abbasi as deputy mayor of public safety or Rodney as a deputy mayor, and they're really going to be what the PC used to be in terms of the chief law enforcement executive in the city, administrator in the city. So I don't think the role means much anymore. And when you think of what Mamdani, the fact that his Department of Public Safety, of Community Safety, is his chief is one of his principal policy agendas. You can kind of see where that deputy mayor may be in charge of community safety, and community safety is going to be at the forefront of a lot of things. And the police commissioner is going to be further marginalized. Okay, so I don't think it means anything. And I'm going to say, if I can, about the Canal Street nonsense. I saw that article yesterday and I got really pissed about it. And the reason why I'm really pissed about it is because they knew 4 hours in advance that ICE was going to be there. Did they take any steps to divert traffic ahead of time so that if you were on your way to work or you were on your way home, you got stuck in a shit show? Okay, so if they didn't do anything about that, that means that they abdicated on their role as police for politics, and that is just beyond egregious. Okay, and I hope anybody who was harmed by that, anybody who missed a critical meeting, anybody who couldn't get to work on time and it affected them should have some lawsuit against the city for that. Because again, you pay taxes in the city for government services, and if the government isn't going to do those services, then what the hell are you paying taxes for? Okay, you're the police department. It's egregious that you're not going to do the job. Okay, we know they don't want to get involved in ICE, but still, okay, you can't have just like let the situation go on its own and let people who are stuck in that mess fend for themselves. That is completely egregious.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what New York City is, right? I've been saying it for a long time about Eric Adams, politics over everything, right? The big knock on Jessica Tisch from everybody is it's not her management style and it's not the appearance of the NYPD. The promotions are the same. There's nepotism in there. There's people that are undeserving of getting promotions and transfers. That's all still going on. I mean, real hard thing to root out in such a large agency, right? There's going to be people are going to go with their favorites. It is what it is. I even said, like, if it was me, I'd be guilty of it too. But the difference is I'm not putting my friend who sucks in charge of things. Like, I might hide him somewhere in an office working for me, but I'm going to take care of the people around me. Where, we see, people completely incompetent being placed in positions that actually matter. But I think when you look overall at her like legacy, the knock on her is that the biggest knock on her is the discipline. Like, that she's smacking cops like crazy, firing people, wants to fire people for nothing. And everyone's like, I don't understand it. I'm like, you should understand it. You're the help. Well, this guy didn't bring me my hors d'oeuvres correctly. Fire him. Off with his head. And then it's the let them eat cake mentality. That's what it is. I mean, come on. Like, it is what it is. This is all a big club and we ain't in it. Why did Jessica Tisch? What's the connection between Jessica Tisch and the Trump administration? I don't know. I would go back to high school. Where did Ivanka Trump go to school? Where did Jessica Tisch go to school? How old are they? Are they the same age? I mean, why don't we start looking around? Is there really a Democrat and Republican Party, or are we just all being played? Because we had an actual centrist candidate, and now his life is destroyed because he wanted to do the right thing, and he believed in New York City, and he believed in the working class, and he believed in the people, and that's why I'm still proud of Curtis Sliwa, and I'm proud that I supported him. And for all of you people that are calling saying you're going to spit in his face, come spit in my face. Come spit in my face, because I'll tell you right now, I've been arrested before, and could guarantee you one thing: you spit in my face, I'm getting arrested again, because I'm gonna crack you right in yours. So go ahead. So go try to spit in somebody's face, threatening a 71-year-old man who cares about this city, who dedicated his life to the city, and now you're gonna threaten someone that actually gives a shit because you're a coward. Because you're a coward, and you thought Andrew Cuomo was gonna save you from the big bad machine. You went along with the machine.
I find it, I don't know. People saying you're going to spit in his face. You got no freaking class, and you got no balls anyway. You know damn well you'll be treated by the soccer mom and her NYPD for doing anything stupid like that. Because they'll turn on you like this. That's the one thing that it is WWE. Because you know how you tag your partner in and you go in, next thing you know, he turns around and clotheslines you. That's what happens. In the end, everybody, they eat each other. So that's especially on that other side. At least on this side, we're trying to hold our people accountable. The other side is just they'll stab each other. You know, they'll decapitate each other like a bunch of barbarians. And that's how they're going to act. So you want to start spitting in people's faces. Spit on yourselves. You guys are the problem. You got hook, line, and sinker into free, free, free. I've heard this line for now a couple of decades. Nothing's ever been free. In history, all you have to do is always look back in history and say, has this happened? Has this changed? No, nothing happens. Even now, what we have as the president, you got to really look of those ties of who these people belong to. But I did tell you all, the minute we caught wind of this Eric Adams Trump association, that was already, whoa, that should have never happened because they didn't know each other. But the minute he cozied up to him, you started seeing a lot of things fall apart. And it all leads back to what? They had the Epstein thing, people screaming about that. They all have the same connections to Eric, to the lawyer, and this guy. And I've said it a million times already. But, you got to hope for the best because of who you have in office. Kind of like, all right, you may not like this guy personally, but what are you going to do? You want him to succeed because then you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. And the same thing goes for New York City. Now you're stuck with this guy. You got to hope he succeeds, but judging on his, looking at his past as an assemblyman, how far is this going to go? Really. And the people he's putting around him, which are retreads from Eric Adams and Bill de Blasio and all these other failed administrations. Well, how do you think that's going to go? So again, you got to look at yourselves in the mirror. Don't be blaming Curtis. Don't be blaming this one. You guys voted 51% for Zohran Mamdani. It's your fault. You guys voted for this. It wasn't Curtis. You voted for it. By the way, Curtis and Cuomo and everyone else's totals still can't defeat Mamdani if whoever tries to run against him. That's it. That's the end result. So before you go running off blaming other people, you guys voted in droves for this guy. So look at that total. Add this up. You still fall 30,000 plus votes, which is still getting shellacked, and he wins.
And that's if you add the other votes in, like the Adams votes and all those other votes. So I mean, he was unbeatable. That's just the bottom line. But the numbers against
John
with Curtis Lee were not organic.
John,
it should have been split between Cuomo
and I tell you this. Here's the other thing too. With they're trying to say all this. Now there's not only the fear mongering. Now it's the Monday morning quarterback. If Curtis dropped out sooner, all this stuff. If Trump doesn't get involved in Eric Adams' case, you have a Mayor Jumaane Williams. Remember, we had a certain grifter from the Bronx and a whole bunch of other people. We can't have socialism screaming. If Jumaane Williams is your mayor, Curtis Lee would get elected in a landslide in November. But that would have hurt the city of Yes and John Katz and Bill Ackman and Trump's casino bid and all these other billionaires. So they took him out of his case, which that will get you impeached. And then what happens? You get the rise of Mamdani and the return of Andrew Cuomo. You go back and you want to really get into it in the recent history. That is the turning point. If you're going to say, oh, well, why did this happen? And Sliwa should have dropped out. No, your boy Trump should have gotten involved. That's the whole point. Should have never touched New York City, but he's involved intricately with his friends in his pocket. So that's why what happened. And really, you really go back, the godfather of the movement, once again, was Cuomo. He's the one that kept this working family party alive back when he was governor and introduced all these horrible policies, and he passed them all. And he had the right to veto them and make backroom deals, which he was doing with Republicans and Democrats in the state legislation. But nobody knows the history because it's all low information. You got people like this idiot jester in the room, thinks he knows it all. He's dumb as rocks. And, that's what's New York City. People like that guy, low information, believe what they hear, want to believe in this utopia that's never been delivered to them, and it continues not to be delivered to them. And they'll continue to vote a certain way because that's just the way it is. They're like locusts. Wherever they go, they keep voting the same way and expect a different result.
Well, they listen to Sid Rosenberg. They listen to WABC. They listen to paid talking heads. They listen to these social media influencers that are paid to post. And now they're trying to accuse me and you and everyone else that we're being paid to post. I mean, it's just I'll show you all my bank account statements. Like I don't give two shits. You know what I mean? I didn't take money from nobody. So it's and the rest goes for everybody on this network. I mean, we do this because we care, because we see what the hell's happening, we see the game. But you want to say, oh, if Curtis would have dropped out, then maybe Cuomo could have won. Oh, and then you would have got all the same policies. But how about this? How about maybe if Trump didn't get involved? If there wasn't a $100 million campaign to tell you not to vote for Curtis Sliwa, he would have beat Andrew Cuomo, like we told you.
Mm-hmm.
What would we tell you? Let's go back months. What was the original game? We might have been wrong in the final. Well, at least I was. I don't want to say anybody else because I don't think they agreed with me. But like what we were always saying, it's a 3-card Mamdani. It was a 3-card Mamdani between Zohran, Cuomo, and Adams, right? But you were always getting Mamdani. That's what we said, right? Because we were saying at the end of the day, you're always getting those same policies. It didn't really matter if it was Cuomo or Adams there. You're still getting those same policies. But in fact, you got Zohran Mamdani. So like you want to start playing ifs. Yeah, well, how about that? How about if Curtis Sliwa didn't stay in, maybe Daddy Cuomo could have saved us. I'm like, it's such a what do you think, Marlon? What do you think the impact was of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, all these social media influencers, all the money spent to tell you not to vote for Curtis Sliwa? I wasn't telling you to vote for Andrew Cuomo because he has no policy. It was telling you don't vote for Curtis Sliwa. Like, what do you think the effect had on Curtis Sliwa? Like, percentage-wise, how do you think he would have fared? Would he have done better? Or was this 7% a result of that?
Well, first, I question that 7%. Call me whatever you want. I told those who are watching us and chatting, but I'm skeptical about that 7%. But I think the impact of Trump and Musk and all these influence, what it did is it gamed the system for either Cuomo or Mamdani, and it effectively shut out Curtis, because what it did is it pushed security-minded conservatives towards Cuomo, and then it galvanized the left towards Mamdani, because Cuomo, the far left, and those who hated Cuomo, to those in the Democrat Party who hated Cuomo, to go for Mamdani because because also Trump is supporting Cuomo, and it effectively shuts out Curtis. And like we said before, they don't care if Cuomo or Mamdani wins. I don't think they care, because either way, either one is going to do the bidding of the billionaire donor class. And just, as an example, I'm sorry.
Sorry, and just one more question I forgot to ask. Like, do you think that, and as you're going, like, do you think that there were Republicans and conservative-minded people and moderates that stayed home as a result of that because they believed Curtis Sliwa didn't have a shot? Like, my vote obviously doesn't count, and there's no way in hell I'm voting for Andrew Cuomo. Do you think that happened also?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I mean, that 7% is so low. It's like I think they were, if you were out there, you saw how much support Curtis was getting. And I just, I can't figure out why that amount is just so low. And that is a theory that could kind of explain why that percentage is so low.
Sal, what do you think, dude? What was the effect of the Trump endorsement, the multi-million dollars against Curtis? Like, how do you think that affected the vote?
That's severely hindered him beyond. I think even having people that, his former employee, the boss of the radio station, and everyone he worked with, that said, I'm on your campaign, and turn against him at the exact same time as well, which you kept pointing to when it was going on. He said all at the same time. That severely hindered the guy. I don't know how anyone doesn't see this. You know, you got a lot of these people in here. I don't know who's paying who to stay in these chats. It's the same clowns always, all negative stuff all the time. You are the problem, people like you. But the whole thing was to stop Curtis because he wasn't part of the Republicans or Democrats or the Uniparty. He was for the people. We got to get rid of the people. We don't want anyone to represent the people. We got to represent the boys, the club. So he doesn't do that. He never did. It was Curtis. That was the one guy that was always critical of Trump. Remember, he had that buffoon Dion Cini come after us. Guy makes his flags from China and then says they're MAGA. That guy, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I question that guy's intelligence, but he is saying whatever Trump parrots, this guy will say. If Trump said, let's go and just jump off the bridge, he'll do it. He'll say it. So you have guys like that running around and saying, Curtis, it was an anti-Trumper. No, he was critical of someone. And he wasn't wrong, was he? He was never wrong about criticizing Trump, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. And that's what we like to do. When he's good, you applaud him. When it's bad, we're going to sit here and go, let's build a shrine to someone who's crushing us. I think that would be the definition of insanity. But, you know, that's what you have. Many of these people in Staten Island would jump off a bridge if the guy tells them to do it. That's what you saw. See that dark point at Southern Staten Island, dark in Brooklyn? These are the Trump acolytes that whatever this guy says or does, you move with it. Problem is, in 3 years, a guy, or maybe less, who knows now, he won't be around. And then you won't know. You're like the puppy that doesn't have the home. When you never thought for yourselves. You never thought for survival of yourselves and your family. You're just worried about this guy and his like a deity. It's scary because it's cult-like. And I've said that. And they get upset at me. Oh, you're calling a cult. Yeah, it's cult-like behavior. It's scary. It's really scary when you don't hold someone who's elected to office accountable because you just want to view things in a rosy-colored glass, you know? Meanwhile, that endorsement of Cuomo not only crushed Sliwa, and not only did it crush Cuomo, Mamdani, just before, mobilized his entire base. You got Trump saying, Cuomo, Cuomo, Cuomo. And I warned you all, people play the polls and the poly market. There was one thing. There was a poll that was taken that was actually legit and did everything right. Harry Sex. 71% of the electorate said whoever Trump endorses, they will go against. And that's what you saw. The minute this guy opened his mouth, all of the radicals, like the radicals you see in the chat today, mobilized because it's Trump. He's the most polarizing figure out there, at least for the next 3 years. Hate is a stronger motivator than love. That's what you saw come out and vote. And that's the end. So before I don't
Sonny
want
was
to
right
hear,
again, Sal.
Yeah.
Sonny was right. I'd rather be feared than loved, right?
Yeah, I'd rather be feared than loved. And that's the truth. And before again, if you're gonna go do something stupid and spit in Curtis's face, what I'm telling you will ring true. You may say I'm crazy, but I'm telling you the truth. So down the road, you're gonna say, "Oh, that guy was right about everything." Well, but I told you so. I'm trying to tell you to educate you because that's your problem out there. You're very misinformed, low information. That's what was voted. You voted on hate. That's what it is. You didn't vote on facts. You voted on hate. Either you liked Trump or you don't. He says to go this way, you go against it, right? You don't even think. It's just that's how a lot of you in New York City are. I hate him. Whatever he says, we do the opposite. Well, you just voted in the same thing. That's what you just did. Versus the guy that's critical of him. That's basically the election in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah. Michael M. like the picture of Sisyphus. Sisyphus pushing the rock. He's always pushing against the rock and never actually get it up there. But he keeps pushing anyway, right? He's bound to sit there. So Mike M. says, John, if you look at the elections across the United States that went red for Trump, went back to blue, it's the Trump factor. People are rebelling at the voting booth. I like Sliwa, but his message didn't resonate with voters. Staten Island didn't lose Republicans. Mike, so I'm going to totally disagree with you here, my friend. So I'm going to tell you, it exposed the fact that we don't have a solid base of Republicans, because if, in fact, Trump would have come out and said to vote for Curtis Sliwa, they would have voted for Curtis Sliwa. They would have came out in droves for Curtis Sliwa. And, you know, Donald Trump literally went for the worst governor New York's most radical governor, and he told the Make America Great Again crowd, and they did it. They're unprincipled. They're not Republicans anymore. They're Cuomo Republicans. They're far left progressives. That's what they are. You vote for Andrew Cuomo, I'm sorry. You're voting for the lesser of two evils. You voted with evil. You just showed the billionaires in the mainstream media that whatever they tell you in the papers, you're going to do. There was 147,000 warriors, and there were probably some other people that stayed home at the polls that day as a result of what Donald Trump did. Disgusting. We're going to lose the midterms with a result like that. The only thing they have to hang their hat on now is Zohran Mamdani, is that they're supposedly somehow different. But you have weak men like Mike Lawler, all these other clowns telling you, no, you got to vote for this, you got to vote for that. You got to vote for Andrew Cuomo. Look, here's the simplest thing you could ever see. This is 2024 Staten Island. 2024 Staten Island. Don't tell me Curtis Sliwa's message didn't resonate with voters. It damn sure did. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it wasn't as effective as Zohran Mamdani, who was going to give you everything for free and freeze your rent. Maybe it wasn't as effective as that, but it was a much stronger platform than Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo's platform resonated with voters. What was his platform? He had no platform. So how did he resonate with voters? He literally harmed the life of everyone that voted for him, but it was the lesser of two evils. People were running to the polls afraid, literally with fear in their eyes, just like what Jimmy Wagner said earlier. This is 2024 Staten Island. Here we go. Same day. November. Here we go. Same day, 2025. This is what it is. Solid blue. You just told everybody you're unprincipled, scare me, and I'm going to do whatever you tell me. Whatever Trump tells me, I'm going to do. I don't have a brain. I don't have a care in the world. I will vote for a far left progressive. I am unprincipled. So I'm sorry. No, you're not Republicans. You're not. You will do what you're told. I mean, that was the Trump effect, what you said. I'm sorry. Anyone that voted for him, don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me because I stayed strong. Same thing with me and Marlon. Don't be mad at us because you put something in your body you didn't want. Don't be mad at us and we didn't. You know what I mean? We're just staying strong. That's it. Because we're actually the Sisyphus of the world. We're actually the people that are going to continue to push against that rock, even though the entire machine's against us, the entire uniparty. And honestly, Trump is a sellout for what he did. He hasn't cared about the people in New York. Is he reaching out for Marlon? Is he reaching out for Sal? Sal lost his career for supporting the guy. I mean, what is he showing you? He's showing you he's part of the uniparty, dude. You support Andrew Cuomo? Like, really? Really, dude? You're telling people in one breath, vote Republican, or if you want to make things more affordable, and in the next breath, you're telling them to vote for Andrew Cuomo? Like, what are we doing here, man? Listen, I voted for the guy 3 times. I wasn't voting for Kamala Harris. But I'll tell you right now, if I would have known I was getting this, I probably would have stayed my ass home at the polls. And you know what? And going into the midterms, how many people feel like me? How many people feel disenfranchised like me? The thing is here that, you have all these sycophants in here, either on the Democrat or on the Republican line. And what you don't understand is we're all being played. We're all being played. They're all on the same team. After the event's over, after the SummerSlam's over, after the brawl, the Royal Rumble's over, they all go back in the dressing room and laugh at us.
Correct.
And we get our asses back to work. That's what nobody's seeing here. Like, that's all we're telling you. There was one candidate who was for the people. He was a populist candidate. His name was Curtis Sliwa. That was it. And he got destroyed. And people are destroying a guy that dedicated his life to this entire city and doesn't have a pot to piss in to show for it. And they're blaming him for Zohran Mamdani when really it was the political machine that implanted Zohran Mamdani. If you're going to be mad that Zohran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City, you should be mad at the voters. You should be mad at yourself for not getting behind Curtis Sliwa going to the polls. And that's just the whole thing. Don't talk. I'm not talking semantics about his messaging resonating. Andrew Cuomo had no messaging. He's like, look, you're a Republican. I demonized you for the last decade. And I'm not going to do one thing for you. I'm not going to do one thing for you. And you're going to vote for me because the media and the billionaires and your own scumbag president told you to vote for me, and you fucking did it.
You want to read this out because I see Daniel's in the chat, and he gave it. He sent us $20 for espresso and a bagel, and that's how I do a cappuccino. Voters stayed home after propaganda said Curtis couldn't win, and they never backed Cuomo. One Curtis versus Mamdani poll had him beating Cuomo, yet no more head-to-head. Curtis can't win was the grift, not free or fair. I also want to point this out. Originally, it was 4 people running. Of course, they paid off Eric because getting rid of Eric changed a lot of the dynamics. We ended up getting 6,000 votes somehow.
He got that dropout money.
Yeah, he got the dropout money. He got the dropout money, the same money they're trying to offer Curtis. So the idea is, it's a deep blue. I see the jester. Oh, it's deep blue. You can't. It is deep blue in New York City. But if you divide this vote amongst 2 or 3 Democrats, then that gives a Republican a chance. Only because why? If Republicans stay the course, right, and vote Republican, plus you get these independents, you're all of a sudden right there in a 30% range where 30% split 3 ways or 4 ways, you win. Republican has a chance. But instead, you got Eric to drop out because the price was right. Then you have Trump go back Cuomo because either way, whether Cuomo got in or Mamdani gets in, it works for Trump. Republicans have nothing to run on. They've had the Congress and Senate have passed nothing. They're in deep trouble next year. Some of you want to live in La La Land where it's coming to an end. I've told you that MAGA ends at a certain point. It's coming to an end. Everybody's grift's coming to an end. It's going to be realized very shortly, and you'll have no one to blame but yourselves because seeing something like this, if you would have changed New York City to be a Republican-run mayor, that would have sent waves across the country. Instead, what did you do? You did the exact opposite, and you jumped on board trying to use this as the boogeyman because you can't win governing. You have Washington, D.C. is all Republican, and you won't even know because nothing's getting done. They did this the last time Trump got elected, and what happened after that? They quickly changed. People turned on Trump then. It became all Democrat. They impeached him. Then you know what happened later on with everything that happened January 5th and 6th and the whole 9 yards. And prior to that, he lost to Joe Biden. They started this whole pandemic thing, and that was a wrap. But why? Because Republicans did nothing in the first year of Trump's presidency, and they're doing it again now. And now what are they doing? They turn around and they say endorse the guy who literally went up against Trump, started the Mamdani movement, and destroyed the state and the city. That's what they were telling you. He said in one instance, Trump said, vote affordability, vote Republican across the country. But that must not matter in New York because the guy that made it unaffordable, he endorsed. Does that make any sense? It's right in your face, and some of you listen to that because this guy's your deity, and some of you then just got fear-mongered into voting for the guy that we're mentioning, Cuomo. That's what killed this election. But what do we know? We're just 3 former cops, right?
Yeah. Something people need to understand is that the conditions are being created now where you're likely going to get another Kamala Harris in the next 3 years or 3 and change years. And that is why it's so bad that Trump needs to follow through on the promises he's made, because if he doesn't, you're simply empowering the left candidate, and I think we're living in an age of psyops and grift, since 2020, and I think you're going to get more of it, unfortunately. And I saw a question. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because I saw a question from a statement from Reacciona, Puerto Rico. He said that the Overton window shifted in NYC. Even the Republicans will be center left. And to that, I'm going to say the Overton window is now being shifted towards for us to accept socialism. Okay. But not the socialism that you think, not the socialism where free buses. No, you're not getting those. Well, the socialism is going to be for the corporations and for corporate socialism and for the bailouts. Okay, that's what's coming next. Okay, and we saw the enormity of the psychological campaign here. I believe that's the next step we're going to get. We're going to get more of that in trying to convince us to accept our serfdom and to accept the way things are right now. So again, you guys got to wake up and stop falling for these traps and realize that you got to get out of the low information bubble and understand what's really happening before we're all serfs again.
Hey, Marlon, remember when we said that we were talking about voter ID? I thought that was one of the things Trump campaign. We're going to change that. There's not one investigation about voter ID right now. New York State has had no voter ID. You could just walk in and vote. I watched an illegal immigrant vote when I was a cop, right? Because I summons the guy a week later. I said, wait a minute. I remember this guy. You voted. Guy didn't speak English, had those consular fake IDs. He voted. I watched him vote. They pulled me away from the voting because I was like, what's going on here? So they said they were going to try to change this. They'd work on this, but he's overseas. He's in China, tariffs, all that stuff. And meanwhile, you can't afford anything. Your gas prices are still high. People are screaming. They can't afford rent or mortgages. What are we doing? It is what it is. I'm just telling you the truth. You might be a sycophant for the guy. I voted for the guy 3 times. I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that are upset telling me what I'm telling you. But no one, you just keep your mouth shut. Oh, he's better than what was offered to us. It's not about that. It's about holding him accountable and holding all these Republicans accountable because they're going to get destroyed in November. I'm telling you now. And, oh, by the way, pull up Polymarket, John. Everybody, Polymarket's the gospel. Look at congressional race. Look at who's going to be in control of Congress next year. Doesn't look real good.
The Democrats. Yeah, the Democrats.
Yeah.
So but everyone's telling you they have the little Charlie Kirk wannabe on WABC. They got Sid Rosenberg. They got all these losers telling you how accurate Kalshi was. It wasn't accurate, people. It was closer than it was in the Democratic primary, but it wasn't accurate. I just want to bring up to the stage our good friend Rose Angel from Cafecito Break, just to break down like what her thoughts on the election. And one thing I want to delve into while we have her up here is the identity politics that were played into this election and all of the fear mongering around that Zohran Mamdani, he's an Islamist. New York is going to fall to the caliphate. Wow. I just think that what you got was a traditional Democrat, and they used like a fear campaign, and it was really a racist campaign if you really look at it, if you look around it, because all of the talking points they had for Zohran Mamdani and all of the people he associated with, so did Eric Adams, so did Andrew Cuomo, so did Bill de Blasio, and it wasn't an issue then, and now all of a sudden it's an issue. You all got played. You all got played, and whoever bought into that, we never bought into that on this show. We did a ton of podcasts. They try to bait us into that whole, he's a terrorist, he's this, he's that. And all I kept saying is, nah, he's a Democrat. Nah, he's a far left Democrat. And Marlon, whoever asked you about this, said the Overton window shifted to center left. We're nowhere near the center. We're nowhere near the center. The Overton window switched to you're going to vote for a far left progressive Democrat that has all the same exact policies as Zohran Mamdani, or you're going to vote for a guy who's has an openly socialist far left progressive platform in a Zohran Mamdani. The Overton window, if it starts here and we're on the right here, we're whatever, my hand's here. We're on the right here. We're all the way over here. On the left, this is your Overton window. It's you either get this or this. We went so far left, it's not even funny. We're nowhere near the center. Rose Angel, welcome to the stage. Could you give everybody a rundown on what you saw about New York City elections? What's your thoughts on all this hate about Curtis Sliwa? And it's your fault. You're a Marxist. I'm a Marxist. Marlon's a Marxist. Curtis Sliwa's a Marxist. And all of these cowards, all of these double-boosted patriots with their "Don't Tread on Me" flag who voted for Andrew Cuomo, trying to blame us for Zohran Mamdani.
Hello. Oh, my goodness. Well, thank goodness that you guys have been covering this with such detail for years, right? but then specifically you've been covering and interviewing Curtis Lewa. So you definitely have New York boots on the ground experience, then your experiences as NYPD, which unfortunately, because we live in New York City, it's been weaponized and people don't give you even the ear, right? People in uniforms have been dehumanized. I think that that's been one of my biggest awakenings in even I remember the first time that we ever did a audio space together. I remember feeling nervous, and it wasn't because I was nervous to speak to any of you. I was nervous because of the backlash that has been embedded since I was a little child. Don't look at NYPD as people who are friendly or can be supportive. What I've learned is anybody in any uniform can be good and serve the people and also betray the people. And I've also learned in the hardest of ways that sometimes your friends will betray you even at the 11th hour, as they did with Curtis Lewa. We at the Perez Sisters of Cafecito Break dedicated ourselves 4 months. We are content creators, local press, because nobody ever really believes you, right? People don't believe you. Local press covering Sliwa for years because he was around so much of what we've been raising awareness for, saying no in 2020, standing our ground, defending not only ourselves, our siblings who we've met through this fight, but every single right of every single New Yorker, man, woman, child. We've been living under a tyranny, and the weaponization, the scare tactics that we just saw nonstop every day that were being lashed toward Mamdani. Oh my God, if he wins, blah, 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 he's going to be the biggest nightmare. Can we kind of go back to even Bill de Blasio when he was offering us a burger and fries in exchange, a free burger and fries in exchange for a what, gentlemen? You know how this ends. For a vaccine, to take the vaccine. If that wasn't terrible, or as somebody pointed out, we already lived through a one-way or the highway system. When all these people who run in political elite circles, when they locked us down, what were they doing? How many times did we see there's pictures out there, guys, look them up, of Governor Hochul being pictured in Puerto Rico with all these kids with masks and she's maskless. How many, or like when AOC, who's like, we gotta, we're for the working class, but then she's attending one of the most elite events in a very high fashion dress saying tax the rich. And everybody's like, I'm so proud of our girl because she's in there, letting them know. No, she's a sellout. She's trying to fund the police while she's well protected. All of us here have been trying to tell you from our boots on the ground perspective, the bullshit that we see. And because specifically my sister and I were converts from the corporate media, MTV industry, you see the playbook. I saw how AOC was being marketed like a celebrity. It was easy to see and tell that they were doing the same with Mamdani. We could have told you months ago, and we did, that Mamdani was going to surprise everyone, and no one believed. Everybody kept saying Cuomo. They tried to push Cuomo in through the Democratic Party. He got rejected twice. His own party rejected him twice. Explain to me how it makes sense in any logical human brain, unless we live in wokey pokey land, which is what I keep seeing evidence of, that somebody rejected and disgraced in Mr. Cuomo lockdown would be embraced by conservatives, independents, and Republicans at the 11th hour. All of you helped to contribute to the downfall and the destruction of the momentum that Curtis Lewa was building. Can you imagine a 71-year-old man who dedicated 20 hours a day for months? Now, I wasn't there watching day to day, not like that, but you see the feeds. It's unbelievable to me. Look, right before I came on, guys, this is the comment that I have to see. That you have to admit that as a Christian, sorry, that was the wrong comment. It was pretty much about the ploy that that Mamdani and Sliwa were collaborating together. I'm still hearing it right up to this moment. Me coming up to speak to all of you. That's the last comment I saw on my feed. Are you kidding me? Can there be any accountability for what I like to call some of my friends who keep attacking me on my comments? You derailed his campaign. You were one of the flip-flops. This is not on us. We stood our ground. In what world does a Republican turn and say, yes, I'm going to save the enemy of New York who locked us down? Are we in, I don't know what land? I'm trying to be mindful of my words because I could get myself in trouble with the way I want to speak.
Speak freely. We believe in America here, and you have the right to your First Amendment speech. And no, I think that's the bottom line. Is like what we're sitting here and saying is like, the propaganda was thick, and you bought it again. You bought it again, and at the end of the day, New Yorkers spoke. The election spoke, and then what happened? Bill Ackman told you it was going to be the end of New York City, and what happened immediately after Mamdani gets crowned as the mayor of New York City? Bill Ackman reaches out to him. He wants to work together. WABC is now coming out, Sid Rosenberg, and he's smashing Bill Ackman about that. But does anyone not believe when he's the mayor that the first thing they're going to do, he'll put on the front like, yeah, it's me. I'm not going to, I don't agree with this. But, he put himself in front of all of this, like that. Oh, he's righteous. He didn't sell Curtis out. Curtis was just stupid. Curtis had no chance. He was just smart. And I don't think that was the case at all. I think that he completely sold Curtis Sliwa out. He moved votes over to Andrew Cuomo, and here's him now smashing Bill Ackman. But in January, he's going to be just like Bill Ackman, and as the time moves, Katz and Matias, like they're probably going out to dinner tonight. Like, maybe they're in Somos, but when Zohran Mamdani gets back from Somos with the establishment Democrats and they're all at a luxury resort eating and drinking and hobnobbing and laughing at all of us, Sid Rosenberg's going to be right there trying to get in the grift and trying to get in the game and hobnob with all of them and pretend that he's some type of conservative. But again, he was telling you to vote for Andrew Cuomo. He turned on all his friends and he's trying to paint us out to be traitors when honestly, he is a man that can't speak for himself. So we could say whatever we want here. Let's listen to what a paid mouth talking piece has to say.
I spent the last couple of months hammering billionaire Bill Ackman. I don't know the guy. Truth be told, I reached out to John Katzimatidis. John and Bill had dinner together with President Trump about 2 weeks ago at the White House. I said, hey, tell Bill to call me. I want to talk to him about the mayor's race. He never did. Bill has been very active on Twitter for months. First, he was up Eric Adams behind. I love Eric, he's great. Then when Eric Adams dropped out, which I said he would months and months ago, he was up Andrew Cuomo's behind. And all his tweets were the same. This guy Mamdani's evil. He's no good. We cannot allow the city to go to Mamdani. Literally, months and months, every Jewish social influencer tagged Bill Ackman with every video they did, either endorsing Adams or Cuomo. And what happens? Mamdani wins. How long does it take Bill Ackman to actually extend the olive branch to the guy that he maligned for months and months? Not a month. Not 6 months, not a year. One day, and Bill Ackman, already with Jamie Dimon, extends the olive branch. That says to you what I told you on Twitter, time and time again, the last 4 months. It was never about the Jewish people, Bill Ackman. It was never about safety, Bill Ackman. Money. And Ackman knows him and Dimon both have huge investments in this city. Ackman's worth $9 billion. At the end of the day, he needs the mayor to be his friend. Even this terrorist. Bill Ackman, one day. Shame on you. That's why billionaires have a bad name.
Funny because his bosses won.
So he's trying to be the populist centrist guy. He explained himself in the first half of that video, and then he's explained exactly what WABC and his boss is going to do. Sal, what do you got to say about Sid Rosenberg and this nonsense, fake centrist, fake voice of the working class? He is a paid puppet for the billionaires. Absolutely disgraceful, Sid. Absolutely. You are a hack. And another thing, you weren't going against Bill Ackman on Twitter at all. And don't pretend you are. You have no voice. You have John Catsimatidis' hand straight up your rectum, and he moves your mouth for you. You are a sellout, my friend.
Yeah, this doesn't look good. I know Sid, and he was all upset about, everybody. Look, he does what John Katz tells him to do. That's it. He works for WABC. The only two people there that were even somewhat, or three, I believe, with three people that was somewhat, three people behind Curtis. Obviously, my friend Roger Stone was number one. Anthony Kumi was number two. And I believe there's one other guy. James Flippin was number three. Everyone else, just like that, just when they were told to do, they flipped. So here he is. He's lecturing you. First, he said to go to Kalshi. I don't know what that's about. I mean, they must be buying ads for WABC.
It's trusted. It's trusted now.
Yeah.
It predicts things.
Now we trust it. Well, you should read out that it says that the Republicans are going to be losing the House next year, but they don't want to tell you that. So he comes out and he's literally talking about, first of all, Sid never came out against Bill Ackman at all. He says some things about him, but he doesn't push the envelope because John Katz and Bill and Ackman were at the White House with Trump a week before he endorsed Cuomo. And I remember him, I believe he was saying how they both told everyone how Trump isn't happy with Curtis Leroy and that he wants him, wants Cuomo to run one-on-one or whatever it was. So now he uses it. This is what I'm talking about. I hate when people use things as a shield and then a sword. So at that point, it was good to use Ackman saying, oh, Bill and John Katz were with Trump. Now it's Bill Ackman's the bad guy. But in reality, if they're going to sit down with Trump, they're going to sit down with Mamdani because Mamdani holds the strings in New York City. And you need him to pass all this legislation to help them with their city of yes, which he was for. The only person that wasn't for the city of yes was Curtis Leroy. Everybody else was for it. Everyone was wrong, whether it was Eric, all the Democrats, they all wanted a city yes. And that's what you're about to get. So when you get displaced out of your home or they want to come and take your property because they want to put a nice sky rise that's going to be empty for tax breaks for all these people, you could go up and shake Sid Rosenberg's hand and Greg Kelly's hand, whoever else is out there advocating for Curtis Leroy to get beat in the street because they wanted Andrew Cuomo. That's what you're gonna have to thank that guy. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if he wants to be the next big influencer, but Sid, buddy, it's not working, man. It's just not working for you. I would go back to what you were doing when you were trying to do the right thing, and then guess you're following the paycheck, I guess.
Maul, what do you think about Sid's messaging? was he looking in the mirror? What was that?
Yeah. Sid is listen. Sid is just fighting for his job right now because WABC is unprofitable, and they need if the progressive industrial complex in New York City were to collapse overnight, right, and that money flow would stop. The money flow that subsidizes the developer class, all of that, WABC would be out of business. Okay, it's unprofitable. Nobody listens to radio anymore besides grandpa. Okay, and no offense to the older folks who watch this. Okay, I'm just saying again that you need a healthy media. If you have a media network, it has to be healthy. Where it just doesn't cater to one set of people, because again, especially the older set, you need to always be spreading out your message and always attracting new viewers to watch it. Okay, so nobody listening to radio anymore. Okay. So it's subsidized by Cats. And if Cats doesn't have the money from government, if the money flow stops, they go bankrupt. So he's just fighting for his job right now. And if I may, I see some comments. I'm seeing a lot of new faces in the chat room today. Okay. And
welcome, fellas.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, we're 2 hours in. So if you haven't smashed those like buttons yet, just smash it now and kind of share us out there so we can get ahead of these algorithms. But anyway, I'm seeing a lot of new faces in here. I'm also seeing a lot of faces that are saying how we have narrow interests, or I see one from a guy named Slike. He says cops were doing weekly self-tests in front of desk and they never took the shot. What didn't you get that option? Guy, you're so low information that it's like incredible to me. You know, I was taking people like me and John were getting weekly tested. Okay. The NYPD dropped a mandate in November of 2021. They said after that point, it doesn't matter about testing. Okay. You either get the shot or you're suspended. Okay. John had to take a vested retirement. Otherwise he would have been suspended. And he didn't know when the termination was coming. Neither did I. You were just suspended. And at some point you would be terminated. I thought I would have had at least a year of until the trial and due process. That wasn't the case because 2 months later I was terminated. But I only found out even 6 months after that. So you're a low information guy. Get out of your bubble. Okay. All right. These aren't just narrow interests. Okay. This is about due process, worker rights. If you're a socialist, at least be consistent with your own socialist values, you moron. Okay. You need to understand here that what is happening is that these people like Sid Rosenberg, like Cats, okay, they don't care about your interests. Okay. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about due process. Okay. And what do you think? If due process, you think this is just for me and John or Sal? If they come for us yesterday, they're going to come for your due process tomorrow. So wake up, you moron.
Absolutely. Rose, what do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? What do you thought about the messaging from mainstream media? And just earlier, we were talking about Zohran Mamdani, a socialist, right? Socialist, communist, their catchphrases, workers of the world unite. They're supposed to be for the working class. I think all of his speech, his victory speech, was how he was going to power the working class. Could you be a socialist and support vaccine mandates and support removing due rights from workers and removing rights? Like, what are your thoughts about all that?
It's just none of it makes sense. It's a mathematical anomaly to me. All of it. Just the way he's presented, the fact that he couldn't answer questions, the emotionality, the lying that was caught, the fact that people get harassed if they don't support him. Like one of the canvassers, for example, accused me of being Islamophobic because I said I wasn't going to vote for him. I mean, how do we go from, are you going to vote for Zohran? No. Why not? Do you have something against his religion?
No, and you were anti-Semite if you voted for Curtis.
How did we go from that, a question that seems so polite to, and then another canvasser pretty much was like, there's no, I went up to, I was like, if Mamdani wins, we have to make sure that we continue to talk across party lines. She's like, that's not necessarily, there's nothing to talk to Republicans about. And so then to answer your question, how do I see, when I understand why somebody like Sid would end up making that decision. He's probably taking account his job and all of that. But at the end of the day, other people make decisions based on not just me and my pocket and my family, but if I say yes to this, am I going to harm more people than just saving my own ass? And if the answer is I'm going to potentially harm more people by just saving my own ass, then I don't know if that math makes necessarily sense. Now, I'm not the one to judge here, but we have certainly received so much judgment unfairly. The to have people come into our comments, DMs, suggest what we should cover, how we should cover the New York City election. It's our platform. We're self-funded. No one is paying us. But when I tell you that the weaponization was that crazy that they started going toward, when that didn't work, they were like, let's start moving towards the other independents that have some platform and some mouths out here. So if you had a little bit of influence, someone had a little conversation with you. And I was actually there and I witnessed someone receive a phone call to see if they could sway. So I'm telling you, may I read my little statement, because I was so overwhelmed by being targeted. I would just wanted to put this out there, because just to for the record, like what everybody was saying, I would like to read this, because everybody's talking about the blame game. A moment of reflection. You cannot blame us for standing in our morals and integrity, because integrity is more valuable than gold. We told you Andrew Cuomo couldn't win. He was the spoiler. It was a disgraceful and disgusting collusion. There was simply no support for the best candidate with the best policies, ideas that we had in New York City, and that was Curtis Lewa. Mainstream media gave no attention to Curtis, and when they did, it wasn't favorable. They treated him as a person of no consequence. As a side note, I'd like to add that the last rally of his campaign, press was there. Curtis made a statement. I'm talking about mainstream press was there, and my little tiny mic. And when he said, does the press have any questions? No one had any questions for the Republican candidate in one of the most talked about New York City elections that had all eyes. So when he says that they treated him as a person of no consequence, the mainstream media made sure that they treated him as a person of no consequence, down to the shitty way they treated him during the first debate. Thank God Arrow gave him a respectable, this is how you treat human beings. This man has given so much of his, I'm not saying he's perfect. I don't know Curtis Lewa like that, but to have somebody who's a real New Yorker has dedicated their entire lives to New York and to all New Yorkers, to be done this dirty is ridiculous. So mainstream media failed New Yorkers. Then there was the billionaire meddling. Then the flip-flop influencers getting paid or convinced to steal votes from Curtis. And I'm not just talking about the influencers or the people within New York. I'm talking about the conservative influencers that parrot every single thing that maybe Trump says or wants. Then there was the last minute endorsements from Adams and others to help sway and steal votes from Curtis. There was big money coercion, bullying and shaming of conservatives and Republicans who flipped to support Cuomo from the overwhelming fear campaign they were experiencing. Let's include the marketing campaign, the questions, all that money that was thrown into Cuomo's campaign to keep derailing votes from Curtis. Then the big mouths conservative influencers did not help. You could have helped New York in this battle. You didn't. You could have helped amplify our stories. You didn't. You preferred to talk crap about New York City and that we're going to get what we voted for. So thank you. You are also to blame. Elon and Trump's last-minute endorsement of Cuomo also helped to ensure a Mamdani win. Also to blame were the people who don't participate, don't engage, don't research, just point fingers. And we can't talk about all of this without also including all of the censorship, the throttling. Some of us were getting kicked out of the free speech platform. Or would pop up like that would happen to Athena Clark too. Like there was a squashing of conservative platforms and people running conservative Republican accounts. So tell me how we're supposed to combat that, and please help me understand how the fuck that makes us the spoilers. It doesn't. It makes us people of integrity, and my conscience is clear.
Absolutely. Let's hear what Sid's got to say here. Then we're going to move over to John Shell and his take on how bad it's going to be under Mamdani.
Your reaction to this devastating development?
He's a terrorist. He's a jihadist. He's a socialist. He's a Marxist, and he's a communist. And now he's the mayor of New York City. Also, you nailed it. Here's a guy that was smiling an awful lot. He even went back on some of his prior statements, defunding the police. All of a sudden, he went from a virulent anti-Semite to a guy that loved the Jews. And last night, as soon as he won, as you pointed out, he had that angry, yelling speech like, I'm coming to get you. If you are a capitalist, if you are a Jew, if you love New York City, I'm coming to get you. So the people that did not vote for Mamdani, which is about half the city, by the way, Megan, a lot of folks, they wake up this morning and they are scared to death.
Your reaction to this devastating development?
So what do you think about, what do you guys think about that? Like, is Zohran Mamdani, there was so much about him being a terrorist and a jihadist, and that it's still like only Sid's still going with that line because he's not really getting the cue yet, and he's gonna look like an idiot when Mamdani's on his show every couple of weeks. But like, what are your thoughts about that? Was that an effective strategy, or did that actually have the opposite effect and actually push voters over to Zohran Mamdani more? I mean, I'm proud of the platform for not buying into that ridiculous talking point. And the day after Mamdani wins, there is a Jewish school in Brooklyn that looks like Fort Knox. It has so many cameras on it. And miraculously, like, someone decided that they were going to go over there and spray SWAT stickers. We don't have any video from it. I'm not really buying it. I think more than likely the person that sprayed the SWAT sticker, if they ever get found out, will be a young Jewish kid who was paid to do so. Because I just can't believe that it could even happen, because it's so easy to catch someone doing that, especially in that facility that has about as many cameras as Fort Knox does. So I think all of that was like propaganda, and I think it was a real divisive politics. And I don't think you're going to see any of that. I don't think you're going to see the caliphate come in. I don't think that you're going to see no-go zones in New York City. I don't think you're going to get the what were they saying was going to come in? Sharia laws coming into New York City. I think that was all a divisive campaign in an attempt to try to stop Zohran Mamdani's base. And I think it failed miserably. And I think it showed the intelligence level of a lot of people. And Sid Rosenberg is the leader of those idiots. Like, what are your thoughts about that, Sal? Like, this whole, he's a jihadist, he's this, he's a terrorist. He ran the gambit. I mean, he was right about the socialist part, but he also told you to vote for a socialist in the name of Andrew Cuomo. So, like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I've been very adamant about this. Ad hominem attacks don't work. Trump lost against Joe Biden, whether it was real or not real. He kept saying he's Sleepy Joe, all those, he doesn't have stamina, and then he lost, right? You need to hit people when you run against them on policies, their agenda, and their record. We don't go after them, you're Muslim. That's what you're basically saying. I hate to bring this up. He's Jewish, he's Muslim. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. And I don't buy that for 1 second, because none of that, by the way, he keeps making this about a holy war and everything. And he's out in Somos right now partying with, of all people, the one and only criminal mob associate, Jimmy Rodriguez. So much for being, he's a Muslim. He's hanging out with gays in a nightclub. I guess the caliphate's coming. You guys are all gaslit into the narrative. You guys got suckered. Okay, I know a lot of you won't like to hear this, okay? When Eric Adams was in, he helped out a lot of people that maybe had been African-American, right? Now when he comes in, he might help out people that are of the same faith. If you have a problem with it, well, you could have voted for someone else. Bill de Blasio helped out a lot of people that were, believe in the same ideology. Michael Bloomberg, remember who he was helping out? That is the spoils of victory. There's nothing you could do about that. But they have a problem with what's about to happen and I'm saying if, we don't even know yet. You're all throwing things in front of the guy about him being jihadist and all this other stuff. The guy, essentially, I kept telling you, he's an empty suit. He never showed up to work. He's a state assemblyman. He never passed any legislation. Oh, by the way, he has straw donations through numerous 501c3s and foreign contributions in his campaign. You didn't hear any of that. You just heard what Sid said. They ran the gambit with that. And then he gets elected and he's partying with Jimmy Rodriguez, the same guy that Eric Adams is partying with, that were doing all kinds of crazy stuff in a nightclub. So what does that tell you? Who's got the intelligence there? You all got gaslit and they used hatred, religion, and you all fell for it. I've never seen anything like it. And it shows they don't have anything to run on other than hatred, because hate is a stronger motivator than love. It's the number one motivation. I hate you, and you run out. I mean, watch Star Wars when Anakin Skywalker was burning, and he goes, remember, Obi-Wan says, I loved you, Anakin, my brother, and his eyes turn red, and he turns into Darth Vader while he's burning. He says, I hate you. And that's when Darth Vader was born. That shows you how society really works. You all got played. This guy is just another Democrat. He's just another, they pushed him out there. He's part of the machine. That's all he is. And you guys fell for it. But to say that this guy is a terrorist and all this other stuff. I mean, I was on Joe Pags' show, John, you watch. And Joe Pags was bringing up London, how London has the call to prayer on the London Bridge and stuff. And I said, well, in New York City, right? You try to do that, that's summonsable or arrestable, right? You can't block a bridge and do something like that. And I don't think it's ever happened. But you can block the bridge if you're rioting. That was something Bill de Blasio was doing. But in the days of Rudy Giuliani, Bernie Kerik was arresting people for doing that. You weren't allowed to do that in the bridge because that's chaos. From Brooklyn to New York, 100,000 of people. Oh, no, they're all peaceful protesters. No, they're there to, some of them are going to do damage. We can't allow that. So that whole thing was to give you, it switched a lot of people, especially in the Jewish community, which, by the way, I believe 33% of them still voted for Zohran Mamdani. So before you fall for the whole act, 33% of Jewish community, I believe, voted for Zohran Mamdani. Nobody's saying anything about that. Nobody. So you fear-mongered people right into voting for the guy. That's what you did.
Absolutely. Look, we got 800 people on here this morning. Thanks for joining us. Keep the hate up. We love it. You know, for those of you that
hate's a stronger motivator than love, John.
That's it. Sonny was right. You know, Sonny was right. He'd rather be feared than loved. So he was right about that. Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, share this out. We're talking about if Zohran Mamdani is actually a mayor for worker rights, if he is in fact a socialist, or if he's just a tired old Democrat. And we're talking about, you know, all the politics around the election as well. So, Marlon, what are your thoughts about that? Like, what are your thoughts about all of the attacks? And just before you go, I just want to say one thing that Sal brought up. He brought up about the nepotism in the NYPD. So for all the black organizations that it was with the fist in the air when Eric Adams won and it was all our time now, I'm going to say to all the Muslim officers out there in your organization, it's your time now, people. You know, so, you know, you could go out, throw the fist in the air and all that. And it is what it is. Like, the nepotism will reign. You'll see that. It's always going to be something that you're going to see. But what do you think about those attacks saying that Mamdani is a jihadist, a terrorist, you know, Sid, the king of low information, up there with Eric Adams? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, slide over Patrick Gordon. It's the brown guy's turn, right? That tactic that Sid is using. So we have to recognize what both sides of the aisle love to do. Okay, the Democrats, when they're in power, they love to white guilt you, and they love to remind you about the specter of racism and slavery and 400 years. They'll beat it over your head until every other sentence from a Democrat is about some aspect of that. Okay, now the right, when they get in, they love to remind you about anti-Semitism, the Nazis, Hitler, you know, and then they beat you over the head with 9/11, October 7th, terrorists, Al-Qaeda is right around the corner. They're going to blow you up. Okay, America's going to become a jihadist Sharia state. You know, they love doing that. It's both sides use that to kind of corral, to herd you into outcomes that are in their favor, in the system's favor. Okay, they know it's effective because it keeps working over and over and over again. And And some of you guys, you keep falling for it over and over again. And one of the things that really bothers me is people that have lived through post 9/11 and saw what was going on at that time period and still fail to recognize how they're using it now. Because after 9/11, you had the specter of terrorism everywhere, and then they used it to get the public to be okay with certain foreign intervention wars. Okay, and you don't see how they used it in the scandemic. They used fear, right? But you don't see how they're using the specter of terrorism now to kind of herd you into doing certain behavior. It works, and people need to stop falling for that nonsense.
Absolutely. Rose, what are your thoughts about those attacks? And just before you go real quick, I just want to bring this up. This is something that, before we move over to the policing on it, this is something that came out the day after Zohran Mamdani wins. A Jewish school in Brooklyn that's so heavily camered up, all of a sudden, SWAT stickers are drawn on it, all over it. And so here's the video. This is the person. I mean, like, I'm not buying that some terrorist, Islamist, jihadist knew exactly where all the cameras were in the school, dressed up, wears clothing that's similar with an Orthodox community member, and goes over there and sprays a SWAT sticker on it. I'm sorry, it looks like gaslighting to me. It looks like people, the same people that are saying all the NYPD cops are leaving tomorrow as a result of this to get clicks. It looks like this was a push to get clicks as well. What do you think about all the hate that he's an Islamist, he's a jihadist, he's this, and those tactics? Did that actually hurt Mamdani, or did that strengthen him?
First, is that Juju in an outfit running around doing that? Who is that? Someone in the chat?
It might be David Rem. Maybe he gave him $50 for beer money.
Too skinny.
Instead of screaming like an idiot, he went there and he drew SWAT stickers. You know.
David Rem.
What do you think, Rose?
I was thinking about David Rem. He's been sharing some little comments about being a spoiler and etc. I'm like, whatever.
He's all over my feed.
I think he needs intervention. I pray for him. I don't even want to feed some of it because, and so here's the thing. I think that tactic only works against any Republican, conservative, or anybody who might be thinking, hey, should I turn myself into a Republican? I think when you see and you hear someone express themselves towards a brown person in that way, it feels disgusting to me. It almost makes me want to go, fuck you, I'm gonna go this way. But this way is so terrible that where do you go? So we stayed in our square where we ended up. But I've tried to tell this to people quietly, that part of the media game is when people in media and celebrities, they don't necessarily, they prefer more favorable comments, but they want their name period being out there. So all of you in media and conservative influencers, whether you did it through fear or clickbaits or whatever, you all helped energetically create Mamdani because all you did was amplify his name. You gave his name this bigness. And you didn't do that for any Republicans. You didn't do that for Curtis Sliwa. You didn't do that for anybody in New York. All you said is you get what you voted for. And I have an anger towards all of you who misuse the privilege of the platform we're all trying to get access to. And when we do, and when any of our videos start getting a little bit of lift, something comes and squashes it, fucks it up, puts us in YouTube jail, takes a channel down, derails us on X. So I'm very upset at the conservative influencers because you did nothing to help New York.
Yeah.
I
Notice
totally
how
agree. But real quick, since we brought up Rem, let me just play. This is who David Rem is. You may remember him screaming for Trump. You may remember him speaking for Trump. You may remember him screaming that Eric Adams was a savior in New York City. You may remember him saying that Andrew Cuomo. And basically, all he does is he runs around and screams at people. And I personally, I don't think he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. I personally think someone's giving him beer money and he's going out and doing it. So here's David Rem the night of the election pushing out real hate against Curtis Sliwa and his supporters, and it's total, utter misinformation. But here's David Rem.
Curtis? I'll send it to him because you yelled at me today. Good. Hey, Curtis, you're a fucking scumbag like I said all along, all these months. You fucking got 8% of the vote. You split the fucking vote for the $7 million. You were a scumbag. I hope every New Yorker spits in your fucking face every single day. You fucking sold out like fucking Judas sold out fucking Jesus for the 30 fucking coins of silver. Go fuck yourself.
I mean, so that's David Rem. So he, he's accusing people of selling out for 30 coins of silver. It's probably a lot more than he gets to go out and scream like an idiot. He probably just gets like, a 40 and a blunt, but that's it. So that's who he is. Any thoughts? Anyone got any thoughts on Dave? Like
that guy,
he's really annoying me now. He showed up at the Trump Republican Club like a month ago when we were there in October, and I threw him out. I'm like, get the hell out! Like this, it's like nobody. There's women and children here. You're coming in here screaming like an idiot.
That guy's a clown. Okay, that guy's a clown.
Yeah.
He's worried about $8 million. That guy might be getting $8 million worth of food every day. My God, you need a better suit than that, pal. Look, this guy, I've seen him. He shows up. He disrupts things. He's one of these guys. They might Venmo him, whatever, a sandwich or something and say, hey, you got to go out and say this. Because what you're not telling people is Suzanne Miller was also there. That's the Cuomo party that he's at. And they're saying everybody here hates Curtis. Well, of course. You guys were always in the tank for that. I mean, I just saw someone, I hate to say this, Dominic Carter is posting how if John Catsimatidis won, he would have had a mayor-elect Catsimatidis. Dominic, he ran for mayor, and you know why he dropped out? Because he's cheap, and he doesn't want to spend his own money. That's why he's not the mayor. Maybe you don't want to say that because you work for him. John Katz doesn't want to run for anything because it means spending money that he doesn't want to spend. That's the whole point. He spends for his own interests, but not for something like that. So John Katz cannot be the mayor because he will not spend. That's the bottom line. So
didn't he endorse Bill de Blasio? Didn't he drop out and endorse de Blasio?
Bill de Blasio was on WABC radio the day after the election. The guy that mentors Zohran Mamdani. So if you don't think that there's nothing cahoots going on behind the scenes, you are obviously blind and deaf at the same time. You just want to believe what you want to believe. I am showing you and telling you, here, this is it. Look right here. You see this? If you want to ignore it, that's on you. I mean, you already elected this guy, but clearly, if you look at it, right, what I'm telling you, it all adds up that John Catsimatidis is the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, okay? And anyone that either works there, it's the same thing. John Catsimatidis did not give Curtis millions. I know Hunter just said that. He did not. He had he told him to go to this one little fundraiser in the Hamptons to talk to people the same way he had Eric Adams do it and Andrew Cuomo do it. But he personally backs Cuomo or Eric. He's always wanted Curtis to drop out. Always.
Yeah, to be fair to John Katz, no billionaire wants to spend their own money anymore. Okay, they all want the government money, like Bill Ackman, or let's even look at the Sam Altman guy who's now asking the government to get a bailout for his data center boondoggles. So,
yeah. So, all right, let's move on. Rose, you got anything on?
The only thing that I wanted to add, I don't know if you guys knew about this Bochinche, that he showed up that night of the when it was determined that the average, so he showed up by where Sliwa's party was, and he was screaming outside. There's a video that got posted earlier today by one of the persons that was recording, and he was just really seeming drunk and foul mouthed and just cursing everybody out and saying very mean things. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to really, I mean, I'm talking about it, so you guys are going to be looking for it. But the one thing that I felt encouraged by watching that is how calm everybody was. And in the environment, they were like, oh, let him talk, let him express himself. It's his free speech, and he's cussing everybody out. Like, what's your motivation here? This doesn't reflect good on you. And I think ultimately when this settles a little bit and we look at everything, the people who turned, the people who betrayed, for whatever your reason was, that's not for me to judge. I just don't like when the mosquitoes come to our neck of the woods and start trying to convey how they think that we should express ourselves on our platform. That's a little bit too much. That seems like my way or the highway thinking, which makes me nervous of, for example, the people that, Mamdani and DSA, a lot of the times when I've even spoken to the more modern Democrats, they have this very elitist attitude, like, no, it's just my perspective, it's my point of view. And here's another thing that I keep discovering. So many Democrats are not really opening their doors to their constituents, and they're giving their constituents the runaround. I would like to also know and hear from people if that's happening to you, because then that means that we've voted in a party that there's only one way communication. It's going to be like Amazon, or when you try to do AT&T and they just put you through like an endless loop and you never get anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want. No accountability. And it is what it is. No transparency in anything. So he is John Shell. This is from his account. He's not good at taking videos yet, and posting them. So John, reach out to me. I'll help you out. I'll help you so you could cut your own videos. So he recently goes on Fredo, or you guys might know him as Chris Cuomo show, and he wants to talk about Zohran Mamdani and crime. So we're gonna just play some clips and stop it and talk about what he's discussing. All right, so let's start with that.
Hand in hand as we work with police officers to reduce crime and create a department of community safety that tackles the mental health crisis and homelessness crises head on.
Okay, sounds pretty good. All right, now, the mayor-elect also said he supported defunding the police, called them anti-gay, racist, and a threat to public safety. He said in his acceptance speech that he now wants to work with the police, though, as you just heard. So should we just take his word now? Different time, different position. Let's ask the man who just stepped down as NYPD Chief of Department, John Shell. Now, very important, Chief. Good to see you. Yep. Thank you for your service. Did not retire because of the election. You were going to retire anyway. Yeah. Okay. Just to keep you clean on that. So, here, you just said what you want to hear. All good.
Well, I'm a firm believer that your DNA is your DNA. You are who you are. So congratulations to him last night. Great campaign. You ran a great campaign. But now the speech last night kind of switched gears on us, a different person. So that's why I say your DNA is your DNA. Now let's get to the rhetoric. You just showed what he said about the police department. He apologized for that, but we're not wicked and corrupt amongst other things. He aligned himself with the Democratic Socialists of America. Their platform is real out there. Basically, as public safety. Do away with prisons and the cops are bad. So he aligns with that. Now look at what he wants to do crime-wise. Oh, I didn't say I didn't want to do a misdemeanors, low-level crime. Okay, well, yeah, explain that. I didn't say get rid of prostitution, but let's decriminalize it. Let's empty Rikers Island. Let's keep staffing the way it is. Now, follow that. So if we lose, we can lose almost 4,000 cops in January. So are you saying you'll go down to 30,000 cops? But your community action teams will replace some of those services? That sounds great, but let's see it in action.
So let's just stop right there. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. He's we just got taken down on Facebook. That's weird. All right, whatever. Screw you, Facebook. I don't care. So listen to what he's saying here. Like, so John Shell isn't wrong about anything that he's saying here. He's saying that, like, this guy has a platform that, he wants to close Rikers. He wants to decriminalize prostitution. He wanted to defund the police. and he doesn't want to hire any more cops. So because of the overwhelming amount of cops that are leaving, not as a result of Zohran Mamdani, as a result of John Schell and Eric Adams, that the NYPD will just continue to lose numbers, and there's no way to really maintain it at that level. So he's not wrong, but what's real disingenuous about this is that Eric Adams' 2021 campaign was the exact same thing. Prostitution is basically legal in New York City. Prostitution, you're not getting arrested if you're a prostitute in New York City. They turn a complete blind eye to it. Go over to Roosevelt Avenue, go down to downtown Brooklyn. There's prostitutes everywhere. It looks like the 1980s, early 1990s all over again in New York City. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about with that. When you go to hiring of police officers, Eric Adams didn't want to maintain levels as a New York City mayor. He wanted to lower the levels of the NYPD through attrition, which is way more radical and dangerous than what Zohran Mamdani has alleged. The other thing that Zohran Mamdani was pushing is the Department of Community Safety, which will be non-armed civilian police officers. That is exactly out of the mouth of Eric Adams in 2021. He wanted to have civilians policing protests. He didn't want cops at protests anymore. He wanted them handling accident reports. He didn't want them responding to mentally ill people anymore. So what John Schell's telling you is like, you got to listen to the rhetoric. Well, we listen to the rhetoric of Eric Adams, and we also know the fruit of Eric Adams, right? We're told in the New Testament, you will know them by their fruits, not by their words, right? And so we know Eric Adams by his fruits. We know Andrew Cuomo by his fruits. And we don't know Zohran Mamdani yet by his fruits, other than the fact that he was a terrible assemblyman who got absolutely nothing done. But we know his rhetoric, and it's exactly the same rhetoric as Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo. Yet Schell, because he's on the outs and nobody really wants him anymore, he thinks that this is a good let me attack this Democrat, but it was okay when the Democrat that I worked for that liked me and actually had faith in me because he's completely incompetent, he said the same exact things and actually did them and actually accomplished them. What do you think about what John Schell's saying here, Sal?
Well, first of all, I think he's auditioning now to be the police commissioner under a mayor, Sid Rosenberg, or at least in their minds. I mean, that might be it. I hope they had wheelchair accessible entrance for him at News Nation, because we all know he apparently can't walk. He has a bad ankle, so he can't work anymore. He's disabled. So, but I hope that he had crutches. I hope he had his wheelchair with him. But seriously, I don't even listen to this clown. He was part of the problem in the police department, and he was part of the problem with Eric Adams. He knows the playbook because he was sitting right there next to Eric Adams, and he has yet. There are still lawsuits that are going on and will be forwarded soon in regards to his own actions. He should be the last to speak about anything because his involvement in a lot of things that led to the destruction of the police department have not been unveiled fully yet. He will be answering for those things, which is why he's not moving anywhere. And also is very disingenuous saying, oh, he didn't leave because of the election. No, he left because I exposed what he was trying to do. He wanted to stay till the last day. He got caught because the pension board, for disability, when he went over there, he got it delayed one time, and he was begging to get it delayed again because you need one guy to do it. Once that got exposed, nobody was going to delay it. He was gone. He didn't get a walkout. He wasn't celebrated. So, that's it. But to give this guy any time, he's talking about numbers, everything. Listen, we told you the attrition rate is tremendous. The highest attrition rate ever is under Eric Adams. You don't hire enough cops to cover this. You're right. But he also the staffing in the NYPD is atrocious because you waste a ton of personnel in administrative spots when you could have civilians do that. If you hired more civilians, which is cheaper, you would save money. But why do that when you need to hook up your boys? Because he specifically mentions the community response team. That's his little baby, by the way, created to give him his third and eventually fourth star. So it's funny how this guy's talking. Nobody's fact checking this guy. I mean, it's nice. It looks like he's having a great time in retirement. But again, I mean, how do you take this guy serious when he was a big part of the problem, especially in the police department?
Marlon, what are your thoughts about Schell's rhetoric about what the differences between Mamdani and like how there's somehow a difference between him and what the hell's been happening?
Yeah, I think the shift is fascinating that we're seeing it in real time. John Shell go from having worked for a left, establishment Democrat, progressive Democrat, to actually, I won't even say he's a stat. Well, yeah, you get my point. He's going from working for a left mayor to now positioning himself as a critic on the right. And I just think watching the shift in real time is fascinating, because a lot of times, like even we like I've said before, we didn't, I personally missed some of the things that Jim Walden did in his past when he came on here. And you go back now and you see Jim on MSNBC, and you see him with spewing leftist talking points and his Trump derangement syndrome. And then he came on here and pretended to be like a center guy, and tried to appeal to conservatives. And I think that's fascinating in light of what we're seeing here, because we're seeing it now in real time. John Chell, 2 weeks ago, he was working for Adams, and now here he is. He's going to be a critique of the left now, and he's going to be propped up to be a media personality on the right. It's only a matter of time before he shows up on Fox News like every day on Hannity or something,
Rose, you got anything you want to add on that? Like Shell, he's like, basically what we were saying is that like Eric Adams' policing policies are exactly the same as Zohran Mamdani's, yet John Shell is raising the flag saying how it's literally going to be the end and destruction of the NYPD, even though he was overseeing all of these same policies. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
This is not my area of expertise, so I'm listening. But I do actually have a question for all three of you, if I may.
Sure.
With this election of Mamdani and this conversation about how he's going to navigate the police department and his relationship, do you think that there will be more mechanisms of surveillance, track and trace embedded into the unfoldment? We have seen, like Eric Adams with the little robot that he tried to unleash. I remember seeing more drones, let's say 2020, when we were all grounded. So I'm just curious, because that does concern me, those whole weaponization of even hate speech conversations. So that is sort of like a big concern for us.
So and for all you socialists in the chat and all you big supporters of Zohran Mamdani, he's saying he's going to fundamentally change policing, right? Is he going to remove the surveillance state that is the NYPD? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. Currently, even your gait is being tracked and kept in a database. And by your gait, I mean the way you walk. Right? So you all push back against stop, question, and frisk. You all pushed back against gang databases. And these are people who have committed crimes or suspected of committing crimes or are known gang members. And really, those interactions didn't affect you at all, because it never got reported anywhere. It was the NYPD's own internal data. Your landlord couldn't get it. Schools couldn't get it. Employers couldn't get it. It was really to just look for criminality. But now regular people and the way they walk is being kept in a database, and so you didn't commit any crime. You didn't do anything wrong. And so the surveillance state under Mamdani continues to grow. There is zero difference here between what's happening. So if anyone's concerned about the surveillance mechanisms, and you think somehow Zohran Mamdani is going to put a fork in that, you're out of your mind. Like, that's not happening. It's going to be business as usual. Does anyone disagree with me on that? Sal and Marlon?
No. In fact, he's going to just do what Bill de Blasio did with the police department. He took $1 billion out of the budget. They got rid of homeless outreach. That was one thing. I mean, Curtis was campaigning on that, but you gave him 7% in New York City. So, but that, he's just going to do Bill de Blasio with the police department. All that rhetoric of him, you think he's against police and everything. That's one rhetoric to get to office. It's another to govern. Because if you remember, Bill de Blasio had quite the security detail around him and he helped out his little cops that were around him and took care of them. So, like I said, people leaving the job in droves. There were people going to leave regardless. You're being overworked because you're understaffed. You can't get transferred. You're probably working with people you can't stand. You got a horrible boss. Your CEO's a terrible person as well. That's why people leave the job. They don't leave the job because a new mayor gets elected, because the pendulum then swings. New people come in, new commanding officers, new sergeants, new lieutenants, and it's just another cycle. But if you're being mistreated by your employer, meaning New York City Police Department, and the direct supervisors you encounter and deal with every day, then yes, you want to leave the job. That's what people are leaving for. They're not leaving because a new mayor gets elected. It just, that is another misnomer that people like Shell will probably propagate that lie, when really they were leaving because of him. He's the main reason people were retiring. Him and his boy, where is he now? The deputy mayor of propaganda and social media influencing. What happened to that guy? He's been quiet for weeks now. That's why people retired. You transfer people because they don't salute you? Oh, that doesn't matter. It matters if the mayor gets elected. That was another thing Sid Rosenberg and them were running about John. People are going to leave in droves. People were leaving anyway. People leave because their numbers are good. When you want to retire, cops like to know, here's my numbers. Here's what it'll be every month. Yeah, I got to retire on this date. I have X amount of time to run off. That's what they're doing. I mean, come on with this. They're using it as a prop. The police department is a prop. That's all it is for politicians.
Yeah, but you know, to be fair, like you don't get any clicks for telling the truth. So everybody wants to say the entire police department's leaving, and they're not concerned solely about themselves and their own overtime and their own financial well-being. They're going to leave because a mayor they didn't agree with got elected. So, but they didn't leave when Eric Adams got elected, and they didn't leave when Bill de Blasio got elected twice. So it's a joke. You got one chief that left. He was leaving anyway, the Damo. Like, what? You didn't leave under Eric Adams, same exact plan. So I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, yeah, you're filled with integrity. Or the fire commissioner comes out. Dude, you were gone anyway. Like, what are you talking about? He wasn't keeping you. You didn't resign. Like, oh, he's resigning as a result of Mamdani, Jewish fire commissioner. Give me an effing break. The dude was leaving. You were out anyway, dude. You didn't resign. Like, you know, it's just a talking point. Marlon, what do you think about that? Like, as far as those people that are concerned with the surveillance state, is it business as usual, Mamdani, or is he this great unifier and he's going to bring policing back to its constitutionality?
Yeah, it's business as usual. In fact, you know, I said before, like, even if you believe there are two different, there's a right and an actual left and not a uniparty, even if you believe that, we're at a time in history where the surveillance state is convenient to both parties, because again, the left is always trying to control you, okay, and the right wants to enrich Wall Street, and the surveillance state and surveillance capitalism works for both people, both sides, if you believe there's not a uniparty out there, which there is, okay, and at the top of the uniparty are billionaires and oligarchs and the tech bros, and the expansion of the surveillance state and surveillance capitalism enriches these people. Okay, now one of the problems with America is that we don't build anything right now. We don't, and you're seeing that come to play right now with the dynamics with China, because China builds everything, and because they build everything, Trump puts a 65% tariff on them, 60% tariff. I forgot the exact number, but it was high. And then resends it this week because he knows China has the supply chains and they have the advantage on trade because they build stuff. They have factories. Okay. So you need to think about that, because AI, which is propping up the economy right now, is useless without building stuff. Okay, it's useless, because what's the AI going to? How's the AI going to keep funding? How are they going to keep funding themselves? Okay, they need government money, which is why Sam Altman is asking for a bailout now. You know, is asking for government to prop it up. So the point I'm trying to make here is you need to build stuff, right? The problem is building stuff takes 10 years at least. You got to build the factories, you got to build the infrastructure, you got to build the energy, and what are you going to do for the economy in that period if we're trying to get out of China and get out of dependency on China? What are you going to do for the economy? Where are the jobs coming from? Well, surveillance capitalism is one of the fastest routes to keep the economy propped up, okay? Because you don't have to build anything, okay? You have an economy built up of spying on you and tracking and tracing your every move, okay? And you'll also have an economy propped up by government spending into the surveillance capital industry and the technology infrastructure that's going to be built up for that industry, like drones, okay? So I think you're going to get that because not only is it convenient for both parties, but it's convenient for the billionaire class and it's convenient for the politicians to obfuscate the fact that we don't build anything and we're in a dire situation where we need to get factories and infrastructure in here so we could build stuff ASAP. But that is impossible to happen overnight, okay? And one last thing, the fact that he even suggests Tish become his PC now is that clue that you're getting more surveillance, because Tish has been behind a lot of this technology being implemented into NYPD and a lot of this surveillance tech, okay? So yeah, the answer is yeah, you're getting more of it and a lot of it.
Yep. So another thing that want to talk about is just one more topic on Shell. So the Civilian Complaint Review Board. So right now, the Civilian Complaint Review Board is as radical as it gets. They say that the police commissioner has final disciplinary authority, yet she agrees with the CCRB board 99.9% of the times. So, I mean, it's really like, so there's that 0.01% of the time that they leave over only for people who are very well connected, that even if they did something wrong, the police commissioner will override what the CCRB board has deemed, right? And that's why the CCRB board feels that they're a toothless tiger. They want the ability to fire officers. And right now we have 2 officers that potentially are going to be fired, even though several criminal investigations ensued and cleared the officers, as well as the CCRB's own investigators had cleared the officers. So, you know, right now the CCRB has a strong foothold over officers and has been destroying people's careers, not only on the NYPD, but in the future, destroying their good names, because your CCRB record stays with you for eternity. Even in death, it's out there. You know, like when in New York State, criminals after 7 years, their records get sealed. If you're an NYPD cop and you got a command discipline for wearing white socks one time, people will know that for all of eternity when they look up your name. So I don't see how that's fair and these are for administrative failures, not criminal. So he's weighing in now, John Shell, on the Civilian Complaint Review Board under Zohran Mamdani. I had to get a different video because his video is just so horrible. It's obviously not too smart or too good at these things, but yet somehow Eric Adams thought he was smart enough to run the whole entire police department.
The one backbreaker would be the Civilian Complaint Review Board.
Why? Because that sounds good to a lot of people. Get the communities involved.
Right. So you make a complaint against a cop. You have these young investigators that do not like the police department to begin with. Okay. But the final adjudication lies with the police commissioner now. If you put it in their hands, cops will not stay to jeopardize their job. Because the police commissioner says, well, you know, I know you want them terminated, but I see it differently. We'll render punishment this way. But if you leave it up to them, no cop over 20 years that remotely goes out in the street is going to take that chance with their pension, their family, and their lives. That will be a backbreaker. Now, he's on...
Well, hold on. Because people will say, yeah, then don't do anything to get you brought in front of the Civilian Complaint Review Board, and you don't have to worry about it.
Right. Mistakes are hard sometimes, easier said than done. If you want a police department that's going to be just purely reactive and not take a chance. Remember a couple of years ago, the cop got the water poured on his head and stood there? You want to go back to that?
No.
Because public safety is the foundation of the city, and we can't go backwards. Now, we went through bail reform and all that crazy stuff. We kind of got it back. We're fighting. I don't know if we can come back a second time. We're already down cops. He does not want to hire more cops. You got to listen real carefully what he...
So everything he's saying he's pretending like as if something changed. Bail reform's not there. We fixed it. Cops want to continue to work in the NYPD. Cops aren't being abused on our forget the water bucket incident. I mean, Rose, you're not a cop, but I'm sure you see constantly on social media, there are influencers that their only thing that they do is they go out and they abuse NYPD cops for that content. Like that is happening currently, but yet he's pretending like something's changed when nothing's changed. 99.9% of the times, if the CCRB wants you fired, you're getting fired, and he's blaming the investigators when really we see that the investigators now are starting to even side with the cops. They're like, wait a minute, why are we hammering these people that did nothing wrong? And it's the board, the radical mayoral appointed board, that's the one that's trying to override those decisions. So I think it's huge. Have you seen that though, Rose? Like, do you ever see any social media influences like coming across? Because I could name like 10 of them off the top of my head right now.
I have seen that, but I've also seen clips of protesters in the streets that harassing police officers for things that had nothing to do with whatever they were protesting about. So if you're protesting about X and the police is just trying to, hey, you guys can't just come in here and bombard Grand Central Station, people are on their way out. And you see so much chaos, you see disrespect, you see people getting in police officers' face, like screaming like this. I mean, as a regular human being, a real New Yorker does not tolerate that. A civilian does not tolerate that from another person. You do not go to another New Yorker and start screaming at them in your face. We've seen examples. What happens? People get knocked. I'm not a violent person, but I'm going to defend myself as best as I can if someone tries to communicate with me that closely. So the restraint that someone in uniform has to use at that time when somebody has a camera in their face and all they're trying to do is make the NYPD look bad. It is something that happens every day. It's not just influencers doing it. It's not just protesters. I've even seen little kids disrespect the NYPD for just simply walking by. Again, for those of you who then look at me and be like, oh, another brown person who's just selling out and loving the NYPD. No, I'm calling it as I see it. There are naughty apples in every uniform. I'm talking about we have brothers and sisters and nephews that are all in service. And here's the thing. This is my biggest thing that upsets me about people like Mamdani, people like AOC. They'll cry about defund the police, that they protect all these criminals, but a couple of things. Who suffer the most? It's the most vulnerable communities. There is a lag in 911 phone calls. When there's an emergency, you have to wait longer for somebody to come. When there is an emergency, somebody's bleeding, or it's a life and death situation, you're living in a very impoverished neighborhood, every moment counts. I mean, every moment counts for everybody in an emergency. But then also, here's the other part. With all of the illegal immigration, we took in a large number. Where did those immigrants get housed? In neighborhoods where they could blend in with the Black and brown communities. So furthering impoverishing those neighborhoods, furthering putting people's lives at risk. All of this adds up to just more vulnerability and more need to have common sense protection, I guess, right? I don't think that having a social worker address certain concerns like mental wellness concerns or mental health checkups is the nicest or the most ideal situation, for example.
No, yeah, I totally agree. What do you think, Marlon? Is there going to be a difference between Eric Adams' CCRB or Zohran Mamdani's?
No, it's the same thing. We're already on the same course, I mean, you look at the again, I pointed out on the executive perspective, which we had a great episode, guys. So if you want, after this, just go back and watch that episode. We talked about how the rates of the board members are in the high 80s or low 90s already. So I think you're just getting an extension of that, you know. I think you know, I wonder, like, why didn't John Chell have why didn't he find those balls when he was in the department? You know, why didn't he have the balls to stand up to this when, you know, instead of just ranting on like Twitter at that time? Why didn't they use the department resources to fight all this progressive complex? Why didn't, when you go to city council, why didn't you show up with facts? You know, show up with facts and charts and fight back against those lunatics over there. You know, why didn't the department use legal resources to do things like challenge the diaphragm law and all the big BS? So this is, again, it goes back to what we said. You know, this is the Royal Rumble. You know, we see you're seeing a production right now, and then when it's over, they go back to stage and they're all laughing and drinking together. Yeah, and nothing really changes, and you get more of the same. And the treatment, the quality of job life for cops just will continue to deteriorate.
Again, I just say this: John Chell should never be taken serious because he was chief of department and chief of patrol, and he literally destroyed the morale, the integrity of the police department, everything around it. He's transferred people. We could go over and over again over his record. Now he talks about the CCRB. Things never changed. In fact, though, I believe he has some CCRBs, and he wasn't fired for the things that he did that normally, you know, just regular blue uniform cops, they get fired or get severe penalties for. So I don't know who he knows, because he seems to navigate the system very well. So he can't talk on things that benefited him and that he got around and that he was in control of certain things, while others are at the mercy of it. You know, he's still in that upper echelon, upper class. He talks to all these clowns, and he himself contributed to the destruction of things. So again, I don't know why. I mean, Chris Cuomo, Fredo could have anyone he has on. You know, he could have anyone he wants on, but you know, he's a discredited fool at this point. He was one every night that was when the pandemic's going on. Him and his brother were taking shots at the president. Remember that? I remember that very well. He had this stupid thing. He was shoving up a nose. He took the big Q-tip out. Remember that? All that. He was laughing at everybody. So I can't take anyone like this serious, let alone John Chell, who contributed to the destruction of the police department. He abused the system itself. Him and the same cronies that think they could run around on Newsday, Tariq Shepard and all these clowns, they're all the same. Anyone, you want to listen to this guy, that's going to be on you. I take it like personal entertainment. And the destruction and CCRB, John Chell was CCRB, yet nothing happened to him. You can look at his record. It was very recent, too. What happened to him on the CCRB? Oh, but he wants, everything is fine. It's fine for him. He's a chief. Fine for him. He gets to abuse the system. P.O. Joe and P.O. Jane, they can't. They're at the mercy of the system. So please, enough with this guy, man. Find him a good wheelchair and a crutch, please. I heard he can't walk good.
Yeah, crazy. I just got notified that my old lieutenant, we were just talking about him the other day, Tony DePalma. You know, I was just saying how great this guy was. Like, he kept him safe, stealth, and shaved. 63 years old. He just passed away from pancreatic cancer. So, you know, rest in peace, Tony DePalma. Great guy. He used to break my balls all the time every time I brought in a collar. But you know, we always had good laughs, me and him. So I had just brought him up. I hadn't spoken to him in a while, and I meant to give him a call. Because we had brought him up, and so very sorry to hear, man. But great guy. You know, he was actually at my wedding. You know, and we always had a ton of fun and a ton of laughs. But he definitely made me earn my keep. You know, I always had to be prepared every time I would bring a collar in. He was like, "You guys bring in bullshit. You guys always, you know." Anything, if it wasn't a gun, it was bullshit to him. He's like, "Get out of here," because he didn't want to have to deal with any prisoners. So, but great guy, man. Rest in peace, Tony DePalma. So I just wanted to. I don't know. Sal, do you know Tony?
Does he have a brother?
I don't believe that he had a brother on the job.
I know another Lieutenant De Palma. He was in citywide traffic long time. I've been to the 123 a few times. But again, the only thing I never did was physically work in Staten Island at all for the NYPD. I did a paid detail over there. I never worked there. So the only time I was seeing anyone is just happen to glance by a place or say hello to someone I know. I didn't see the Midnight Platoon Command, so I never ran into him. I ran into other people over there in the 123, but I don't know if he has family because, I know De Palma from over there, but I know who he is because he's the guy with the piano on his arm. His legend on the job was that he had the piano. He's the lieutenant with the most time on the job. So that's horrible to think. I mean, how long has he been retired? He didn't retire that long ago.
He retired probably, I think he retired in 2015. He stayed till he was 63. So he's been retired about a decade now, so he's been retired about 10 years, but still, he was in great shape, man. Sad to hear, man. Really sad to hear.
Rest in peace, Paisan. That's what you say, the life is short and we're here screaming about things, but the things that matter, and people just, you got to know that life is a cycle, and those who cling to power till they're 95 years old, and we know who they are because they're all billionaires. The life's designed for you to pass that baton up to someone who's young, and then it's their turn, and then it'll be their turn 70 years down the road, 80 years down the road. So rest in peace, Tony.
Yeah, but he used to break my balls all the time. So one Halloween, somebody had like a fake mustache. So he was away from the desk. I went into the lieutenant's office. I grabbed his shirt and I took his own glasses because he had 2 pairs of glasses at the desk. I put the mustache on and I sat there. So when he came out of the bathroom, I just started yelling at him. And he's like, let's take a photo. So this was the photo. He loved this photo. His wife loved it. Wife, great lady too. So yeah, I just wanted to pay a little tribute to Tony De Palma. So rest in peace, Tony De Palma. And then just on a lighter mood, I forget who it was. They had just put out a video about Eric Adams. I'm not sure if you guys had
Daily
seen
Show.
this.
Daily Show.
The Daily Show put out a video like a little tribute to Eric Adams. I'm just gonna bring that up real quick because I thought it was hysterical. A lot of people have been sending it out online. So funny. So let's we'll start to wind the show down. We'll do this one more video and we'll get out of here. But this is the Daily Show tribute to Eric Adams, and then I just want to get everyone's thoughts on Eric Adams. It says thank you, whatever you did, even whatever you did as mayor. Like, did you catch the end of that? It said.
There was a guest appearance on there from Jessica Tisch and Jimmy Rodriguez. If you didn't notice, both of them at the same time. They both. They forgot the Negroes one too. Remember that one?
We got to make a better one, dude.
God forgive them.
We got a lot more.
This guy was entertaining. He's a character, but he's a criminal, and that's kind of what his charisma is. How he keeps you away, kind of like a really good supervisor. Their charisma, they let you get away with things so nobody looks at them. Ed Caban comes to mind. Jeffrey Magic comes to mind. John Shell. All this charisma is to just don't look at what I'm doing, because if you do, you're gonna find a treasure trove of stuff. So, I gotta say, this guy's giving us content forever. It's sad that we're gonna lose that content now that he's gone. But him and his whole crew. What about Kaz Dodge? You could do an endless amount of videos of that guy. The best of, and you're like, oh my God, you won't stop laughing, because the sad part is that's what was running this city and the police department. That's what ran it. And you could tell just by the way he acts why things went the way they went. There's a time to be, you can laugh about things, and it's time to be serious. I don't know when they were ever serious. He thought everything was a joke because I'm the mayor, like he says. I'm the mayor. We need swagger. We need this. We need that. And we need an SOS in New York City, actually. Now you need an even bigger one. But you voted for this. You voted for this and the guy who's there now and the guy previous.
Yeah, Rose, yeah. What are your thoughts about Eric Adams? Like, what overall, like his 4 years? Like, what were your thoughts?
I think that he was better than SNL skit, because there was sometimes things that I would see, and I'm like, this has to be a meme or AI joke or a skit of some sort. And it was real. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'm looking forward to seeing your reel. And I'm going to look at my content to see if I could create my favorite moments, which will include the rollout of the garbage can. You know, when he was rolling out, he did a big a press conference, and he was like presenting what was a regular garbage can. It didn't do anything special.
It was a trash revolution.
Yes, a trash.
I mean, we should be excited about the entertainment value we're getting from Mamdani, okay? Because if you think, I'm telling you, it's going to be very entertaining. It might be a lot better production values, but it's going to be very, very entertaining, especially now that he's walking in there with a little swagger to himself too. So.
Oh yeah, totally, man. I my favorite line about Eric Adams, and I always say it. I say, you know, Eric Adams as a mayor was an absolute disgrace, but as a character, he's a work of art. The guy's hysterical. He really is a funny, likable guy. But he is a disgrace as a mayor, and I think the things that he did to us really right in the first 2-3 years of his administration were horrendous. I think he was awful. I think he was like it was like the most incompetent and intentionally corrupt administration I had witnessed in my lifetime. But with that, definitely had a lot of laughs. And I think, you know, he had said one time, "You guys are gonna miss me because you definitely didn't have this much fun before I was the mayor." And I think he was right about that. You know what I mean? And it, you know, so as he winds down, you know, I think maybe the means should return, you know, prior to 2026. I think we
and look at the chat. They're giving us some great ones. Like, look at all this chocolate.
All those, you know that one. All those Negroes asking me to step down. God forgive them. Like all those,
like, get ready with me. Day in the life. I like you. Do you remember when he was in the NYCHA apartments and he was like, "The water's not bad. Look, we're all drinking it."
Yeah.
What about when he was celebrating his birthday? And when he's dancing at Conso Frito, we have videos of him dancing with some girl in the middle of the street. It was all over. It's so many things with this guy. He's a character. But again, it's designed to deviate your attention from what he was really doing, like the Turkish Airlines and getting bribed with all these people, getting wine dined in pocket line. That's what he didn't want you to see. And then eventually that blew up. What about when I caught him at what was that nightclub? The one that was Jimmy's and now
Jimmy's
South Fuego, that one. I remember he was there with some girl, some real estate lady that all kinds of rumors with. I'm like, this guy has a care in the world. He's living it up. He doesn't care. He got indicted. He was still saying the same thing. So he's a character, you know. That's who he is.
Yeah, they missed a lot there because they missed the chocolate administration one.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that time he was on La Mega and he was like yucking it up as the
dime bag
came and sat down next to them.
Yeah, I had a dime bag, a nickel dime bag I was selling. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Oh, he wrote eight joints. He could roll 8 joints out of a nickel bag.
Yeah,
that one. That was one of my favorite ones, actually. You know, and that was I think Cozy told me about that one. He's like, "Bro, did you watch that interview?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you hear him say the 8 bags?" And I was like, "No, I think I missed that one." And then I went back. I was crying, and I think that one got like I don't even know how many millions of views that one got. We put that shit out, and I think I still get likes and comments over it like every day. I'm like, I put this thing out a year and a half ago,
and I got millions of views on that other one too, the one with the shorty, because they wrote an article on that because I put it out, and that was the art. They made a big deal. One of those the news outlets or whatever, they picked it up because I just clipped that part saying, did he just say, I got to visit a shorty in the Rockaways? Are you kidding? The mayor just said that? He did say that. And it was hysterical. And you know, he wasn't too happy about getting asked about that later on the next day. But I'm like, this is what I mean. This guy he's crazy. He's insane. And he got crazier too. What about the one he just did when he said, "You're a dark, sick person"? That was another one. You're a dark, sick person.
Yeah. That one was hysterical too. But they did get the one in there with the 9/11 shit. Like any day a plane, they're like, "Tell us about New York City." It's like any day a plane could just slam into the tower. I was like, what? I had
done
this is how you're telling people?
I did that one, but I can't play it because in the background I used the song "Party All the Time," which is the Eric Adams theme song. So I had all these clips real short, and that was the first one that starts out where he says you can witness anything, like a plane crash into a trade center. Like he said that before 9/11 too. And he doubled down. He goes on again with John Catsimatidis. He doubled down on that. I'm like, somebody grab this guy and be like, you have to have. Are you insensitive intentionally? Like, what's wrong with you? Because you mentioned 9/11 twice right before 9/11 with planes crashing into this guy was just
he's just dumb as shit, bro. That's what it is. But he's funny,
but he loved to dance and party, as Sal always brought up. Yep. And one of the videos that is favored on my platform on Instagram is him dancing when everybody was like Eric Adams, like. That was played. People, if you read the comments on that video, there are people that kept visiting that like 10, 20 times just to see him laughing and dancing with all those people.
Yeah. And then what about the Holocaust survivor where he tells her, I'm not working on your plantation. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they want you to believe he's like Israel's best friend. He's the only best friend he has is money, and he loves himself. I've told everyone this. That's who he was. He was never this like friend of Israel. He doesn't care about you. He never did.
He's a friend of whoever's going in their pocket.
Yeah, you go in your pocket, your best friend. You're sitting down.
We gotta definitely do our own remix because they missed a lot of good stuff in there. But it was hysterical though. You know,
we should do that for New Year's Eve, maybe.
You know, it was definitely it was definitely good. Well, before we start to end out and read the super chats, is there anything you guys want to discuss? I mean, I know there were a lot of other incidents, but anything around that Mamdani or Adams or anything before we start to wrap up?
I say this: the Adams administration is still going to be things that come out next week. I'll be having someone on that was mentioned. He's got quite a lot of stuff on the New York State Police Department. So we're back to exposés, we'll say. And Eric Adams is going to be intricately involved. Even though he won't be mayor, he'll still be answering for things. And that's what I try to tell everyone. You will be answering in New York City for years to come from the destruction of the Eric Adams administration, because it's either intentionally incompetent or it was incompetent. And there's a lot of miscues and stuff. I can only hope this guy, as bad as he might become, you hope for the best. The one thing I would hope is Zohran Mamdani does not put Eric Adams lackeys in his administration. You already started with those deputy mayors he had, like Maria Tory Springer, who was in the background in a lot of those videos where you saw what Eric Adams did. But, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I see Miranda. You see the sharks in the water over there. So you see who they want to keep around. If he does that, it's Eric Adams 2.0 or Bill de Blasio 2.0 or a mix of them. But those guys are incompetent. You cannot keep some of these people on there. If you do, you're going to have a repeat of what you had the last 4 years. So that's my only hope, is that he doesn't hire his lackeys or his cronies.
Yeah. You remember that one he did where he talked about the robot, the subway bot, and he was like, $9 an hour. He doesn't have to go to the bathroom break, doesn't need meals.
He forgot that the cops had to do 3 shifts a day there on overtime and to guard him. He forgot to mention how much it costs.
and he didn't know. Oh, then what about the other thing? He wasn't going to have a security detail. And the other thing was, he didn't know that the cops needed their phone as the memo book. I mean, he was telling everyone, if you see your cops on the phone, send it to me. Remember, he set up that portal, and then I was like, you idiot. I was like, they have to do all this stuff on the phone.
What about the first day? Remember, he was out on his first day as mayor, and he caught some crime. He was like, look at this. You could see the crime. Remember,
he didn't do anything. He just watched it and waited for
He didn't do anything. He just watched it.
He just watched the guy get his ass kicked. They didn't call the cops. He just filmed it. Like he took out a camera and he was like, see what's happening?
Yeah, the mayor, what are you doing? You can't allow that to happen.
He was doing his influencer thing.
Yeah.
Just showing you.
He was doing the influencer thing, and he just look, there's crime over there. See, dude, you're the mayor. You can't. What are you doing? You're taking a video of this? Like, my God, it's day one as mayor. You know, there's so many. There's like a million things that you could. There's things he was talking about too, about being in a nightclub. Remember that other thing? He goes, I like to sample the product. I'm the nightlife mayor. I like to sample the product. He forgot about that one. That was another line of his. So
I better see a good reel because you're bringing up a lot of moments.
It's going to be like 10 minutes. I'm not even kidding. It's going to be like a 10-minute reel. Like it's gonna be too big for social media, but it'll be worth it. Maybe we'll have to chop it up into parts, like because
he just had one the other day with Kurt Menefee. I'm gonna get off. He goes, you remember he's going after him. And there was one right there. And this last thing on TV, he had a moment. I'm about to leave. If you're gonna talk to me like that, you better say that. You know, he says you apologize. You goes, you speak for yourself. I speak for myself. You know, he was like, well, what's wrong with you? He's like, you're the mayor. Like, what are you talking about?
Keep in mind, we still have 2 more months of this guy, so there's there's lots more laughter to come.
You know, not according to him, bro. He already checked out. You heard him. He's like, I'm checked out. My life. It's like, dude, you're the mayor still. Like, what are you talking about?
But didn't he make a comment one time when he was like, wait, it had a reporter, he snapped at a reporter. He was like, I'm trying to run an election campaign.
Yeah.
People were like, but you're the mayor right now.
Yeah.
Oh, one more. You remember when he was at that dinner? He was like on stage and he was like, how dare you? I'm the mayor of this city.
Oh, yeah.
We made a meme out of it.
I'm the mayor.
We made so many memes about him, and that's got to be part of the video, though. I think we got to throw all the memes in there too, because we had some funny shit. Or when he was telling all of us that to do volunteer for the migrants. He's like, we're out of money, so I'm going to cut all the funds from the police department. Everybody got to volunteer for shit. And then he wanted you to put the migrants in your house.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm doing everything I could do here. He's giving $12 billion away. He's like, open up your doors. Let these people live with you. It's like people like, what?
Do your part.
Do your part, yeah. It's like, what? Yeah, he's the only thing is like I said, I had the video and it was Party All the Time was in the background. It's his theme song, you know, but you can't do it because you get violations. But that you put that theme in the background with all those videos and you round it up, that's Eric Adams. Party All the Time. All the videos of him dancing, or this wild stuff he did. He did other things too. Like I said, the first day he saw a crime and did nothing about it on his first day.
A retired cop did nothing. He didn't even think to do anything. He filmed it and was talking about it as he's getting his ass kicked. The perp gets away and they did nothing. And I don't even think they took a report. If I remember it correctly, I don't even think the cops took a report because I think the guy didn't want to deal with it.
He just that was, you know, and then of course like you're a dark sick person. He's hysterical. Oh, remember he said there was no quid pro quo. There's none of that. There's no quid pro. There's nothing. The whole part when he was getting indicted and you see that he went from laughing and dancing to all of a sudden he was real serious because he knew what was going on. Then the press conferences was just himself. Remember they kept yelling at him about things? The press conference was just Eric Adams. It went from all these people to he's by himself. He doesn't want to answer anything, right?
What about the movie? What about the Turkish movie where he was a politician getting bribed when he was Brooklyn Borough president?
Yeah,
he was a politician getting bribed by Turkish businessmen.
What about the thing with remember the bag with the drugs in? He goes, "This is not where you put your gun." Remember that? It's like, what the hell? They used all.
He's
of
like,
that?
they could check the baby doll because there could be a 9mm in the baby doll.
Yeah, what the hell is he doing? It's like he's talking about that. Then there was, if you remember, the night that he came to his it was the last time he had a press conference where he used to have him every day. Then it changed because he got busted the night prior. Me and Curtis found him in Consa Frito till 4 a.m. He didn't show up at a press conference till 12. The city was flooded and he had bags under his eyes. And he goes, that's it. We're only having a press conference. No, that's it. Once a week. All because they were like, where are you? The city is flooded and you were out partying with Jimmy Rodriguez all night. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? And that started the whole weekly press conference. That was another moment. He had bags under his eyes from being up all night. It was hysterical.
What about the fact that he was a vegan and every time We got a
Yeah,
photo
yeah.
of him out to dinner, like he was at a
Yeah.
steakhouse, and there
Yeah,
was meat in his
chicken.
plate, and it was like it was meat or fish, and like I was like, why are you obsessed with how he eats?
That's
I'm like, he's
we
just
call-
a compulsive liar. Like
Yeah,
he's
we got-
telling
we-
you he's a vegan. He's not the furthest thing from it.
We caught him at at Salsa con Fuego. He was there with the girl, and he was eating a plate of chicken. What happened to the
Yeah,
vegan stuff?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, it's meat. You're a liar. Like, then he says, "Oh no, I didn't mean that." But you wrote a whole book that you were a vegan. Now you're not. Like, what are you doing? Which one is it? It's just the guy was the complete. Everything is he speaks out of two sides of his mouth. He's always right and wrong.
Gold crusted steak in Manhattan in Miami, $1,000 gold crusted steak.
Yeah, he went to Miami too. He was in Miami. Yeah, this guy.
Favorite Italian food restaurant has 0 vegan options. Like, it's like it just keeps like it was like everything's a lie. But like the one point here, MCAS says when he's talking about rats, he wasn't really talking about the rats in New York City. He was talking about snitches. That was like subliminal shit. That was during the time of his indictment and when everything was coming out about him. He kept, I hate rats. We're gonna kill rats. That was subliminal.
But that's John. Remember what we went through? Who do you always have in your comments? And they're all ex-cops or cops right now. All they ever say is, "You're a rat. You're a rat." Because that's how him and Jimmy and all these guys talk. That was him. And I was told that was a subliminal message about I hate rats means that's who he's talking about. And their answer to us, people that we don't even work, we're not even cops anymore. "Oh, you a rat." For what? Telling you the truth? I'm not even a cop. I'm not a cop. I'm not. Who am I ratting on? Your mayor who's a criminal that I'm telling you, look at this? And that's essentially what it came from Eric Adams. Now you see it was Eric Adams all along behind the entire operation. All the social media, it's all him. It's his cronies. He allows it. He's the reason for everything. It's him. No one else. You can blame John Shell, all these guys. They're only doing what they could get away with and what they're told they could get away with. And that comes from Eric Adams. And you're going to see that in these lawsuits. If he's smart, he settles them. Because if you think you just walk away and you just hand the bag over to Mamdani and his guys, you're rolling the dice. Because do they personally like you? I don't think so. You're not liked in this little circle. They'll deal with you. Yeah, you're a Democrat, but you're the Democrat that brought shame and got people in trouble, and now they're facing jail and they got indictments hanging over their head because of you. So that's a decision he might want to go back and look at and say, you know what, maybe it's better to get rid of a lot of these cases because this could burn me as a civilian. Just saying.
And then the other thing, the last thing I saw that I couldn't stop laughing is Zohran has that whole he's got that whole thing in Forest Hill, Queens, right? He has the whole stadium packed out for his rally, like right before the election. And so Eric Adams retweets it and he goes, those are all people bust in from out, or those are all people bust in from out of the city or whatever. And then Katie Hoden retweets him and she's like, so all your staff got bust in from out of the city? And because his entire staff was there. So like,
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, they're great employees and all this stuff. And he like tries to backpedal it. And now you're seeing like his whole administration, the non-corrupt ones, are going to work for Zohran Mamdani. So it's really pretty funny.
Proven what, John? With the 3-car Mamdani was always what we said it was. His people were always in cahoots. Cuomo, it was the same guy all along, and that's the bottom line. And a lot of you people fell for it, and now you'll be living with those repercussions for the next 4+ years.
And what about the weed seizures? Where he's grabbing the weed and he's sniffing it?
Oh, but he was in the thing. Remember, he was crushing the thing with the Kaz the Builder hat too.
Yeah.
Remember? Oh, I'm gonna
when
crush
he would sniff the weed. He'd sniff the weed.
Yeah,
put
yeah.
it down.
Oh, it goes.
When he would smoke a cigar, he'd like lick it like he was rolling a blunt. Like it was like, it was like the dude is hysterical. He really is. Disgrace as a mayor, character, work of art. Rose, you got anything before we get out of here? I want to end on a video that you actually put out from Isaiah Carter, and I'll just let that one run because I thought it was a really great breakdown of of actually what happened. So any thoughts you got? Please plug all of your social medias where people can find you.
Thank you. Well, since you're going to share Isaiah's quote, I just want to, video, I want to start with the quote that he shared in the video. Those who would not give up essential liberty to purchase no, I'm sorry, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither. A quote by Benjamin Franklin. You could find Cafecito Break on all social media platforms. We post primarily on Twitter and Instagram. We're shadow banned pretty much and censored on all the social media platforms, but that doesn't stop us. We are still here and we're celebrating 13 years. We're self-funded if you appreciate our content, and we welcome donations for our work more than ever. Everybody here that's doing content like this with the great revealing, I think that we could definitely, all of us could use support from anyone who believes in giving a voice to platforms of integrity. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for the audience that you have, and for giving me an opportunity to share some time with you here this morning.
Yeah, all of our friends are shadow banned, so don't worry about it. It's a badge of honor at this point. Sal, you got anything before we wrap up here?
Yeah, so everybody, thanks for tuning in this morning. It was pretty much a long one. Again, we went over 3 hours. I'll be back on Tuesday. Like I said, we'll have a guest on. You'll be seeing. I'm going to put out some promos about it. It's going to be involving a lot in the NYPD. So stay tuned to that. Shout out to Eric Dim, who's celebrating was that Veterans Day for the Marines. Eric, I know Eric has a lot to say. I mean, when he comes back on, he'll have a lot to say about what happened. So shout out to Eric. I hope you have a good weekend. And it's a new era, whether you like it or not. But like I said, if Trump doesn't get this act together, you're looking at a clean sweep next November, and we'll be having a lot more discussions. And Eric Adams will be brought back in because he's the star witness of the impeachment hearing. So, to everyone out there, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on Tuesday.
I heard Eric's hanging out with Eric in the DR. They're both. I heard they're both partying up right now. They might take a flight over to Somos.
Hey, Jimmy Rodriguez is there. Eric can have
those free dinners.
We'll look him up.
Get some of those crumbs, baby. Crumbs. Marlon, what do you got, brother?
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Rose, for coming on. And, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And, I kind of flew off the handle a little earlier, but that's what you come here for, guys. We're authentic. And, every now and then we give you a little raw emotion. But one last thing. You remember that when they had that conference and they were like, where was Ed Caban? Man.
Yeah. And
that was one of the funniest moments. Yeah. I gotta say, I'm really gonna miss the comedy from this administration. Really, I mean, I already miss Ed Caban's comedy. I know that guy gave me laughs for days. Yeah. But anyway, new administration's right around the corner, guys.
Kaz too, like he toned it down. No more Kaz.
Yeah.
He removed Deputy Mayo off his accounts, and now he's taking a government-funded account that is his own because he knows he won't have any followers. It's like, but like all that shit. Remember, like I was making fun of him about having the PlayStation at work, and then how he unleashes the drone program. He's like, "Oh, hey there! I bet you thought I was playing Call of Duty. Well, actually, like that was some of the funniest shit ever."
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
Bunch of
guys. So another administration's right around the corner, and let's hope that we get a little bit of comedy. At least if New York City is going to be ruined, right? We'll all get some laughter in the ruin, because gotta personally, I need something to put a smile on my face as the rest of the city crumbles, But anyway, have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you next week.
No, yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. We had about 926 people on here this morning. We appreciate you. Just gonna read out the super chats. Class of 8311 says, another great show with Eric out. You guys fit in an RMP today with room for a collar. Who's driving? And is McCary in the front or the back seat? I'm a little beat from this week, so I'd probably be in the back seat chilling out.
Well, John, when I drove, somebody got collared. That was the way it worked.
Whoever
drove gets.
I got no problem sitting next to the perps. I always like to meet people, get their stories. So I got no problem sitting back there. Speaking of that, to all you guys out there, hold your perps. Make sure you're holding your perps.
Put a seatbelt. Put the seatbelt on too.
Yeah, Lampwick says, "Thank you, gentlemen. You guys should have had a golf tournament at Lake Worth on Coursey. You guys should have a tournament on Lake Worth golf course. Sal, you got a base blasting? Gee, I don't know. I don't know what the hell you wrote, Lampwick.
Yeah, I guess base blasting. Like I guess I have a audience. I have people there probably that want me to go.
Gotcha. Thank you, Lampwick. So Danny Kurzinia, voters stayed home after the propaganda said Curtis couldn't win, and they never backed Cuomo. One Curtis versus Mamdani poll had him beating Cuomo, yet no more head-to-heads. Curtis can't win was the grift, not free or fair. No, I totally agree. It was total election interference the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Edwards said PBA union really got quiet after Mamdani's win. So, you know, I just want to give like some information. I just want to give a shout out to Pat Hendry and the PBA, because I was told that Eric Adams actually wanted the endorsement of the PBA, and what he gave was, he said, "Oh, I'll do this reinstatement of officers that were terminated." And from what I'm hearing, Pat Hendry told him, absolutely not. You're going to either reinstate and compensate them, or I'm not giving you anything. And so Pat Hendry held to his guns. So shout out to Pat Hendry. But the rest of the unions kind of stayed silent because they looked like idiots after they endorsed him, because he couldn't win. It was right after another indictment had came down, another corruption scandal had dropped. I mean, the guy is just shrouded in corruption, and it was all related to the NYPD. And again, more cops have retired early, or resigned under Eric Adams than any other administration in New York City history. And then people want to latch on to, oh, it was big classes, it was the retirements. Okay, it's still a fact, but let's take out the retirements. More guys have vested out early or resigned under Eric Adams than any other administration in New York City history. So there's that also, you know. So there's a lot of firsts in here, and none of them are good. First mayor to be indicted, all of that. And our unions openly endorsed him. I mean, that was a slap in the face, not only to public safety minded people, it was a slap in the face for those who want to end public corruption. And it was a slap in the face to the rank and file of the NYPD. And it was definitely a slap in the face to people like myself, Sal, Marlon, and Eric, who were all forced out of the NYPD for political reasons, you know, not for anything on our own disciplinary. So, you know, so that there's that. So shout out to Randy. Randy, I've never seen you before. Welcome. We got Tom. It was the COVID psychosis against Sliwa. 100%, man. 100%. Tom says, unvaccinated filth here. Shout out to you, brother. Warrior, right? It's only a few Spartans. God sends all the cowards away first before the battle starts. And Tom again says, Jimmy Wagner is the man. Jimmy's the man. We'll get him back on. And I appreciate everybody for being here. We're going to end off with Isaiah Carter. It's a little long. He runs his mouth, but I think he makes great talking points. So this is going to be the end of the show. Anything else before we get out of here, guys? Did we miss anything? Did I spark anything? Anybody got any last words?
I know you mentioned the PBA. I want to mention the SBA did endorse Eric Adams and then gave a fake shield to Sid Rosenberg, where John Schell, the chief of department, actually presented it to him. So shows you how much the SBA is really worth.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, people. Make sure you go over to Cafecito Break. Check her out. Follow her on all social medias. Go over to her YouTube. And let's keep rocking out. We'll be back Monday. Eric's still going to be out, so probably just be me and Marlon. We'll let you know about that then. And then we're looking forward to, that. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And we're going to get to all the stuff that came out that we didn't get a chance to talk about today. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for all the love and all the information. Find us Unfiltered. We will be back at you. Here we go. Isaiah Carter, people.
I'd like to repeat the words of a wise man. And that wise man is Dave Chappelle. When a hero stumbles, well, the cowards rejoice. Nothing feels better to a coward than to watch a brave guy fall. Yes, nothing feels better to a low risk, high reward, someone who doesn't really have any beliefs, someone who doesn't want to rock the boat for fear of their money running out, for fear of not being liked by everybody. Nothing feels better to someone who is obsessed with being liked than to watch someone who does not care if he's liked fall on his face and ruin whatever low-risk plans the cowards had. And that's what I'm realizing right now, as we are now, 48 hours into the aftermath of the mayoral election, okay? Everybody's coming down on Curtis Sliwa. Everyone is coming down on that man as if he is the one who ruined the city. And I just want to take the opportunity right now, as somebody who interviewed the man, who spent time with him, who actually witnessed his the way he connected with people on the streets, the way that people knew him, just on name and beret recognition. I want to congratulate that man, a man who is quintessential New York. I want to congratulate him on running a brave campaign. A lot of y'all out there who supported Curtis initially, as soon as the water started getting a little hot, okay, as soon as the pressure started building and you started getting polls in and you started really feeling, like, oh God, our guy doesn't have a chance, you ran towards the first thing you could that would give at least a little bit of name recognition. Y'all genuinely thought that Andrew Cuomo was magically going to become a Republican after he lost the primary and decided to run as an independent. With all the love and respect I have for you, for many of you out there, what you engaged in was absolute cowardice. It was absolute cowardice. And I'm speaking directly to guys I will probably never talk to unless they come to my show, and I doubt they'll even do that. I think Sid Rosenberg and Greg Kelly were absolutely pathetic in the way that they supported Sliwa and then backed off and then had everybody basically implore everyone to run to Andrew Cuomo. Why would you tell people to do that? Like, seriously, why would you tell people to run to Andrew Cuomo, knowing good and fucking well what Andrew Cuomo was responsible for during COVID, knowing good and fucking well that there are a contingent of people who would die. Do you understand me? They would die before they voted for Andrew Cuomo again, especially given that they remember what Cuomo was like as governor. If I had not moved from New York City, I was going to vote for Sliwa. And again, because Sliwa, what I admired about Sliwa the most is the man's bravery. 45 years of service to the city, working in the subways, working in the underground, doing what people generally don't have the courage to do. Curtis Sliwa did that. Curtis Sliwa ran against both the Democrat and the Republican machine, because it was the Republican machine which told people to vote for Andrew Cuomo over their own candidate. Y'all told the people of New York City to vote for the Democrat who lost the primary. Y'all told people to vote for the interloper while calling Curtis, who won his primary, you called him the interloper. The New York Republican Party, y'all are the definition of Benjamin Franklin's quote, where he said, "Those who seek safety over liberty shall lose both and deserve neither of them." That's where you are right now. That's why Zohran Mamdani is the mayor-elect and is going to turn this fucking place into a communist hellhole probably within 2 years. Y'all are responsible for this. Y'all turned New York City over to the communists, to third worlders. You, the Republican Party, you who can't win an election without Donald Trump on the fucking ballot. That says more about this party than it does about Donald Trump. Yes, I'm saying it. And, my wife will get a kick out of this because she says I'm always going after Democrats, but I hardly ever go against Republicans. I hardly ever go after Republicans. I'm going after Republicans tonight. I expect cowardice out of Democrats. I expect it, which is why every single member of the establishment machine on the local and the national level laid right down for Zohran. I expected it. What I did not expect was cowardice from the GOP. But then again, when you're used to using the city like your own personal fucking piggy bank, when you're extracting money from New York City to send to races elsewhere, why should I be surprised? Who's fucking surprised that Curtis Sliwa only barely got 7% of the vote, and the young lady down in Canarsie, Brooklyn, Athena Clark, only was blown out by 30 points. Why should I be surprised at that? These were people who were running against the Democrat Party machine, and the Republicans, the party that they put behind their names, failed them. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck you. Y'all deserve this. Y'all can go fuck yourselves. Enjoy complaining about Zohran for the next 4 years, and maybe y'all will be able to pick up the pieces after he's gone after one term. Pathetic. Shame on you.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?